not. In your dreams, love is the plot, carried on wings of hope. Each of our souls intertwine when we do. Instantly we see it, the time to grow and be it, when everything is pinned on a hope. Let's rise the dreams of your heart, that innocent youth, careless and kind, free to roam the breeze in love, only when two brilliantly shine as
Welcome, chat. Today we're going to be taking a look at Lunar Remaster Collection. This is Lunar Silver Star Story and Lunar 2 Eternal Blue. I'll wait for people to get in before I start on the brief overlook of the history, but the recent collection came out like last week, sponsored by nobody, but Disney. No, where did you get Disney from? Where's that bit from? Anyway, so I've been doing a lot of research since these games came out as well, so this is me presenting my book report to the class.
Remember when it started exactly?
And we're going to talk a lot about working designs. And take a look at what they've done here in this remastered collection. There's been a lot of feedback on this collection in terms of it's a remaster, but it doesn't exactly warrant the $50 price tag. And, you know, that's certainly, when I review a game, that's certainly not the first time I have seen that at all. There's also some decisions made with visually how they remastered it. But there's a lot to go over in terms of the timeline. Able to get a physical version? Let me explain why someone in chat asked that. There were no pre-orders for this game, and the only place you can get them is on Amazon. Amazon was the only retailer you could order a physical copy of the game from. No, I didn't. I wasn't looking out for it. I was also... what is it? My scroll wheel is... My scroll wheel's acting up again, it's miserable. Sorry, no, and I hit up Gung Ho, see if they would, give me any key. I didn't hear back, so, I'm thinking that's a no. So, this was my $50, but again, when I do my other videos, I'm usually given a code for a single version of that remaster, and then I'm still paying for the other versions, along with anything I have to get with older versions. So just the disclaimer on how that goes. Uneven pixel scaling's a interesting one, although it's only looks right at the 4K output. I think it looks fine at the 10K output, unless I'm not looking close enough. But we will take a look at it in 720p, because it's really easy to see the issue at 720p. Actually, now that I'm curious, looking at my footage here, hold on. You know what? Maybe you're right. Actually, you know what it is? I'm only used to seeing the font. Oh, sorry, I forgot I had the crop on here for the, FMV. You know what it is? I got used to seeing the font at 1080p. So it wouldn't surprise me if that font looks better at 4K, actually. Because the thickness of the outline isn't consistent. But yeah, when we look at the game at 720p, it'll be a lot easier to see the issue. Between classic and remastered, yeah, we'll start with some brief things about the remaster. The classic version is 4:3. It uses original assets. Nothing is upscaled. like digitally upscaled all the FMVs as you see on the right. Let's see, the Remaster has it in 16:9. It zooms in most cases to do that. In some cases it doesn't need to, like when we get into town. There's no need for that. And then there is other thing here. Let me actually because there isn't a total lot of it, so I'll just go into it here. Let me see here. So there's a post FX setting, and what that is a fake tilt shift. See how at the top and the bottom of the screen there's a blur, as if it's like a tilt shift or like looking at a diorama. I don't know the real purpose they did that, but you can turn it off. That's what post FX does in the settings, and then what was the other one? Well, in the when you do classic, you get some CRT filters. Oh yeah, I was just looking at them, but I bring the CRT filters up here since we have water. We're dealing with a little bit of intended transparency with the filters. So I take a look at them on the left here. Trying out the CRT filters. That makes it pretty dark. As much as I can be a fan of CRT filters, I don't know if I would play wholly through these. In some cases, the impact of them works. Sometimes it creates a little bit more depth that was like intended. But then there's cases where it's too dark. This one's better. So I'd probably be playing with, if I had to use one, I think that one. Let me see what the other one's like. This one's basically just like the chroma shift. It's kind of fine, but like the scan lines are what you're depending on. But anyway, with more people in here, let's talk about the history of this, because there's a lot of history. So let me hide these for now. This game originally released for... Whoops. Why'd that happen? Oh, good thing I could fix that. Okay. This game originally released... Drum roll, please. For the Sega CD. This game came out. Yeah, I, apologize. I can't do these, like, more optimally, These streams would be the best. I'm about ready to start hitting the backlog, though, and move on to Dragon Quest, for example. This game originally released, both of these games were originally for the Sega CD, in English and Japanese. Let me see here. I don't own any Sega consoles besides the Dreamcast, so we're using RetroArch here. Everything else is real hardware. PS1, GBA, PSP, and the PC versions, that's all real hardware, no emulation, but the Sega versions are emulation. So, this game originally released on the Sega CD in English and Japanese. The Saturn release was Japan only for both. And then they both got PS1 versions that were available in the US. And things from there go from, let's see, Lunar 1. So, like, these Saturn versions are remakes. If we go in here more, we'll probably see it better. But these are... I'm gonna skip ahead to a battle. These games are, the Saturn version's a remake. Do I have these out of order? One thing here, like right where we're starting, right? In the CD version, there is overworld combat in between locations. In the Saturn version, there's none of that. And so too well early on. It was also coming in pretty late. That was the thing about working designs and what I have seen. To my understanding, they were really localizing some underrated Japanese games that probably were not going to be localized by anyone else. If Working Design didn't bring them over to the West, probably nobody else would have. So that's really the reason we get them. But anyway. So, we'll go over Lunar 1 first. Lunar The Silver Star is a Sega CD game. It was remade for the Sega Saturn as Lunar Silver Star Story. It was then put to the PS1, and in the Western, it's Lunar Silver Star Story Complete. It was then remade again on GBA. Here's me trying to size and make sure I get the aspect ratio here. The game was then remade on GBA. Here, let me, The game was remade on GBA. And turn that sound up. It takes a pretty loose interpretation of the original game. It's more like a retelling almost of the original game rather than like a remake, because it's so different. So we got that. The game was then remade again. This time it was remade for the PSP. So it was remade 3 times. Not like remasters. I mean remade. The PSP version adds this whole prologue. So it's a longer story, much longer story with the first Lunar game. And then the remaster that just released is the version that was on PS1 and Saturn. It was on Saturn first, so you would say that. But there's a lot of... man, there's a bit to it, so we'll just get into it. I think it'll be best to just throw out these clips and go for what I think of. Because we got a... this is all pre-recorded, got this all taken care of beforehand. Let's see. I've also ahead of time made bookmarks in these videos so I can skip ahead of them much faster. So that we avoid the issue I've had before where I'm skipping too often and the audio behind me talking is just constantly like skipping and inconsistent. I'm so upset about my mouse though, my scroll wheel acting up. So around this I can go there, go there. Oh yeah, Sega CD version. The Sega CD version doesn't have any pre-rendered videos to it. It's all told in more cutscenes. Let's see here. Go here.
Listen, I know you really look up to Dragon Master Dyne, but this is ridiculous. If Dyne were still alive today, I'm sure he'd tell you to stop dreaming about his exciting quest.
Oh, I've just been burnt out. I'm about to head back into the full port reviews. Yeah, this stream format is not. This stream format is not good enough. It doesn't do these things enough justice to only do the streams. So they are like temporary, more like until I can start on my videos, which I'm probably about to do really soon. So. Awful Sega CD dub, yeah. So, run that back here.
Listen,
since it's around the same time or based on the same frame.
This is ridiculous. If Dyne were still alive today, I'm sure he'd tell you to stop dreaming about his exciting quest, get off your butt, and set out on your own fantastic adventures.
Did I skip too far?
I know you have the courage to be a great hero, just like Dyne. So what's holding you back?
Oh yeah, the Sega CD. It did not use its capabilities for anything like pre-rendered videos, FMVs. It used it for the voice acting and the music. The music in this version is really damn nice. Okay, that's not selling my point here. This. I'm a big fan of the Sega CD version's music. The other versions going forward have completely recomposed soundtracks. They're not even based on this. These are also my like first takes through all these games, so I am just letting the RetroArch stuff rock there. So like that's the music in Sega CD. Saturn version battle music and sound effects. Same game. I would have a hard time telling you, but this is the same game you're seeing on both sides. Remade after like 5 years, I believe. There's like a 5-year difference between these. Oh yeah, this the first game was also released on Windows PC in, I think it's just Japan and Korea, in South Korea. So there is a PC version, but I mean, I wouldn't even find access to it, but it is intended for a Korean audience. Yeah. You take the sound effects, but man. That oh, that encounter rate too, damn it. God, the first game's encounter rate. So when we get into the cave where we are on the right side, right? I'm trying to save the game on the right there. I'm doing my best. So anything else jumps out at me about the systems themselves, but I believe it's really the music, because that was the capabilities of the Sega CD. But let's rewind here back then. So let's see. The Sega Saturn version also rewrites a little bit of the story. It's not the same. There are changes in the story. I can't say like huge major plot changes, more or less, but it's not anything. There were story changes. You could say that. I have some other pages up here too. I'll talk about later, but yeah, we're talking story changes. He's talking. I'll turn them up. We'll look at the English dub of the PS1 version when we get there. We're just starting here with the Sega CD version. I think it's, in a lot of my like rudimentary research, the Sega CD version doesn't seem really talked about. Maybe for a reason. Excuse me. I was just trying to like look up like maps of the dungeons and the CD version. I couldn't find them. Any version of maps I found online are always this PS1 version, Saturn version. There's also a little bit of changes in how in what the game has you do. Most of them make a lot of sense in just being more straightforward. An example is in the original, after you get Luna, you have Ramus. We remember this cave we go to, and when you get to the cave, there's a rock blocking the entrance. I would feel if you played the Saturn version or later, it is kind of weird that cave's there, unless you were going out there early. But you walk up to the rock and you dissipate it with a fire ring. In the original, in every version that's not the CD version, you are given that ring by your father. You're just given it right away. In the CD version, you have to find it here, because Ramus is standing in front of that cabinet, and you have to come after you get Luna. You were expected to come into here, or you're expected to go to the exit to get Ramus, and then you need to come back to this house, and then you need to pick up the ring. Otherwise, you would go out here, you would go out into the overworld, go all the way to the cave. Let me turn it up. You would come all the way out here to the cave, see that you need an item to get rid of the rock, and then make your all the way back. And that's a big deal because there's overworld battles in the CD version. There's no overworld battles in the Saturn version or later. So these changes in speeding up the game make things more approachable, even if it's like back then. We're not talking like modern ways of shortening games or streamlining anything. But it's just decisions that kind of make sense. That's more of a, like, pretty small thing, though, to look at. Here, I'll jump to Luna singing here. Or rather, how it starts, because it doesn't open on the singing in the CD version.
Did Ramus ever find you? You know, he seemed really anxious to track you down.
I'm gonna, like, destroy this mouse, I swear to God.
Another harebrained scheme. Well, anyway, let's just practice our song for the festival.
Here's another thing. In the other versions, he has an ocarina. Here, it's a harp. Our character, his name is Alex, by the way. He has a name. The protagonist in the CD version doesn't talk nearly as much as he does in the Saturn version. Let's see. Anything else here? Battle's a little more flashy, as we were seeing. I'm turning it up on the this mouse, I swear to God. Left I still think has its charms, but
今日も遅刻ね。どうせまたダイン様の塚に行ってたんでしょう。それともラムスといたずらの相談かしら？
Man, I have like a lot of points to cover. I probably should have made a stronger outline, and also grabbed a different mouse. But it's just when we're looking at these two versions, it's so radically different because it's a remake. It's a lot easier to go with the Saturn version and later because those don't deviate nearly as much outside of GBA. GBA kind of deviates a lot, but we'll get to that later. More into the cave. Let me go in further here. You're taking a look here. Actually, this is the later part of the cave. Look at the entrance to this cave and look at the design of, like, the environment. I don't know, I like what they did. In 2, this is, there's a lot larger difference. It'll make more sense. Intro with the singing's way more visually appealing on the CD. Yeah, I wouldn't, it has its appeal. It absolutely has its appeal. I feel like I get like it's kind of like tropey in the Saturn version. It's kind of more tropey, I guess you would say. And I wouldn't even say it's bad. It's just, I don't know. I did kind of like the approach to the CD version. I was playing these games in a little bit of an order, though. I started with CD and then kept going up to the remaster. Music again. I don't know, man. It feels more fitting for a JRPG. Like, none of these items are the same between either. Like, different item pickups. They're loading you up with, what is it? Herbs to heal. Which is another thing. In the original game, they also expect you to go into the shop and immediately start buying. You start with a little bit of money. You start with no money in the Saturn version. CD version gives you money to start with and expects you to visit the shops a little bit. Throws more at you. I gotta say, one thing I like about every version of all these games is the way movement works. You will, if you're holding down, you will automatically like adjust to angles. So you will like move along a diagonal wall if it's still going down. It's really nice. So anyway, the shopping was the other point here. My bookmarks are kind of my only like notes on this, I guess. And I'm going from memory on the rest here. With there being battles in the overworld, they put a little temple out here outside the first cave. So these are around and you were just visiting these to heal. So. And then as far as my recordings go, it goes up to the dragon at the end of this cave. Excuse me.
My friends, you are the first adventurers to visit me in a long time. I am Coral.
I was gonna say, if you've seen the dragon in any other version, you probably don't recognize the one on the left. Oh yeah, they also expect you to talk to the dragon multiple times. There's a lot of instances in the CD version where you just are expected to keep talking to characters until they give you something to do, or give you a direction or advance. Otherwise, the dialogue stops. And far back to the remaster, we're briefly going over it a little bit. If your expectations are like the games are buyable and playable on a modern system, you're pretty set. It's been a debate of like, are they doing enough to be considered remasters, or is the remaster direction solid? It is great that these games are available for a price, even if it's $50, because you look up the price of these games anywhere else, like right now, that's not affordable. So it is great to still like have a version playable on modern consoles, even if it's looked at like just being the originals. They still if you're playing like the classic, right, they didn't really ruin anything. They didn't really change anything. Though we will get into that briefly. It'll be easier to talk about working designs when we look at the Saturn to PS1 version, which I think we should do now. I think I got enough points made about the CD version and how it's a radically different game from what we've seen. And then it continues once we get to the GBA remake and then the PSP remake, so that will be a common trend. So, PS1 version. Real hardware, by the way. Let's see. Oh yeah, PS1 will stay over there. And Saturn. So, when we are here, we can also look at the dub a bit here too. There we go, just popping up my bookmarks so I have places to go to. At the $50. If you want to wait for a price drop, I think that's a good... Yeah, wait for a sale. I think that might be the move, yeah. Let me rewind this one. That's pretty good. I'm waiting for this to see that. Okay, there's. Yeah, there's way more compression to the Saturn version, but the way they do it, it ends up sharper. But anyway. Anyway, the main thing here was quality. Because the, here. I don't have an easy way of doing this. As far as this goes, it's making a fine impression. Let's get to how they do the dubbing.
Oh, hello, Naw.
Alex, couldn't you hear me? I've been flying all over for the last half hour calling for you. But I should have known you'd be here.
Oh, Naw. Where else would I be?
In honor of the great Dragon Master, Dyne. I know that Dyne was probably the greatest of the four heroes, Alex, but I'm amazed that you never get tired of coming to stare at his dull monument. Oh, shoot. I just remembered. We better go meet Luna to practice singing. If we're late, she'll be upset.
Then we're going from there. I'm so upset about my mouse. If I had known, I should have went and grabbed a different mouse before I started streaming. Now it feels a little late. I do want to listen to the music changes though. Oh, sorry. Let me move this back. Come on, Austin. There. Now let's rewind here. As we continue to get our impressions on the dub here.
Hey, Alex! I figured you might be here. Now that the warm weather has melted the ice near the Dragon's Cave, there isn't any time to waste getting started on our big adventure. If we hurry, we may be able to sneak in without waking the dragon. Then we can get a fantastically huge diamond from its lair worth thousands and thousands of silver, making us filthy, stinking rich and very popular in the process!
In the documentary for this game that Working Designs did, they used that specific line of dialogue as an example of their localization sounding natural and the voice acting sounding natural. You can do with that what you want. It's not the worst I've heard. It's for sure not the worst I've heard. And more of my thing with it is the writing. But it was funny watching it, and that's the exact clip example that they use there. But anyway, yeah, that's the thing with Working Designs. Working Designs is who localized and published both Lunar games in the West. And they have a more or less controversial history. We can start with the writing and how and being a localization. In directly quoting their approach, it's like this is very close to a direct quote. They take the major plot points, the plot story, and then they throw out the rest. That is their philosophy. That is actually what it is. Throw out the rest. So, Lunar in English, both games are filled with, not filled, I can't really say filled, because the story does take precedent. There's a lot of, pop culture references thrown in that weren't originally there. I believe I saw something about Clinton, but I don't know if the thing about Clinton was in Lunar, or if it was in one of, Working Design's other games, because they do that with all of them. Every game they localized that had, like, dialogue that were more likely to be, Man, I can't believe how much I brought up the RetroArch interface. That's so annoying I did that. That was their approach. That was their philosophy. A la Pokemon referencing the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah. There's, like, anachronism. I don't think anachronism is, like, an inherent flaw or, like, writing fallacy. But we're pushing it. So, we've got that. We have, toilet humor. We've got potty jokes. Let me see here. Let me get an example of, let's see. On Legends of Localization. So this is an article written by Clyde Mandolin, who talks about someone who sent him a question asking about Lunar. I'm gonna read out the message sent to Clyde Mandolin. If anyone doesn't know, he did the localization work for Mother 3's English port. I'm playing it for the first time and I came across a pop culture joke in the game, all the way back from '96, about the famous Tootsie Pop short with Mr. Owl. Attached to it is the snippet. Mr. Owl. Here's the snippet. I was curious what was used in Japanese, possibly some other type of famous CM or pop reference of the time. Additionally, subsequent dialogue was him asking about M&Ms, and the stuck-up character makes a comment about something like how even plebeians know they melt in your mouth. In the Japanese, no, it's completely different. In the Japanese, the character is like giving world-building context to what they're seeing, and then in English, it's about Tootsie Pops. And then it's going on about M&Ms. There's nothing like that, and that's what Working Designs did. That was their approach. Pretty offensive remarks. There are script changes in the remaster, but there's not a lot. There's some, but it's not a lot. Anything that was revoiced, because the remaster also revoiced all the dialogue, those had rewrites too. Taking a more... I would say it sounds much more natural, but, you know. Okay, yeah, and it was here on this page from Clyde Mandolin. Yeah, there's a... what is it? The Bill Clinton thing. So I'll link that article from Clyde Mandolin. It's very... I'm logged in to go to Badcast. Alright. So. That is them on localization. And it doesn't stop there, because Working Designs would also pretty commonly adjust things about gameplay. there were times where they had some pretty smart, like, quality of life changes that they introduced into their ports or localizations. But then they were more known for ramping up the difficulties artificially, like inflating enemy health. So the Japanese versions of these games are easier, both from CD and Saturn. Let's see here. I have up here on the cutting room floor, that's where I'm going to reference some of these things I'm going to talk about. Again, cutting room floor, if you want to read more on this, the cutting room floor has the exact samples of, like, the enemy health pool, health changes. I'm reading this material. This is a quote from Lunar the Silver Star US Manual, page 22. Emphasis editorial. Whenever a game is translated from a Japanese version, the inevitable question is, what did you change? Gamers are very concerned, as we are, that the original games stay intact as much as possible. We really try hard to give the American gamer the same experience the Japanese gamer had when playing the original game. In reality, we meet and sometimes exceed the quality of the original Japanese game. Take from that what we will, already. So, let's see. Outside of script changes, we're talking about gameplay changes. In the CD version, it's less so. We're talking, let's see, 6 enemies, almost all of them are mid to late game bosses, had stat increases in the US release. We're talking mostly, for all of them, it was HP, and for 2 of them, they raised their attack. Let's see, so we showed that shrine before, right? In the Japanese version, donating at a shrine costs 10 silver. The US version raised the cost to 100 silver. Hearing the bonus song then requires 10 donations in both versions. Let's see. And then there's graphic changes. There's a few hexagram, pentagrams in areas, and those were taken out in the Sega CD version. Later versions, that's not an issue at all. They're in both versions. Let's see. There are more things here, though they concern later game things, so I think I think if I look at the Saturn to PS1, I would be conveying my point here more clearly. In the Sega CD version, in the Japanese version, characters can only level up once per battle, regardless of how much XP they gain. In the US, they'll level up as many times as they logically should. That's a nice change. But then we have things like, you know, health. So that's for the Silver Star. If we're looking at the Saturn and PS1, let's see. Unlike Working Design's previous stabs at enhancing the Lunar games, the stat changes in this game, PS1 version, in this game follow a very regular pattern. With few exceptions, regular enemies have 45% higher attack, give out 14% less XP, and 10% less silver, and have 10% less HP. The net effect is to make it a lot harder to stay alive, or it increase in an extremely artificial way the time required to beat the game. For whatever reason, if you select early game enemies, actually give out a point or two more XP in the US version. It's worth going over this like and reading this, because I don't think the beginning footage I have really illustrates it too clearly. Let me throw these back into sync here. Let's see. At least close enough to in sync. Let me turn it up too, so I have bet more background knowledge going on here. The fucking the circle button is the circle button brings up the save prompt, and that is so annoying because I kept pressing it on accident. Every version of these games I played had different control schemes. It was really annoying. Anyway. So yeah, there's a whole like list here, a whole chart. chart of stat changes that they describe. There's a lot of them. Same with bosses. Unlike regular enemies, bosses scale their stats to match Alex's health. Unlike regular enemies, bosses scale their stats to match Alex's level. Turn that down. This requires a bit of explanation of game mechanics. Oh man, we gotta go through this. For bosses, the following stats are scaled: HP, attack, defense, agility, wisdom, and magic defense. Each boss has its own set of scale values for each and the scaled stats, indicating how many additional points of that stat it should receive per level. Additionally, each boss has a minimum level. Regardless of Alex's level, they'll always be scaled to at least the minimum value. In the Japanese version, this seemed to be the level the average player expected to be at when they get to the boss. And then they have base stats like any other enemy that are scaled. Let's see. In the US version, all bosses have the same base stats, but have increased scaling factors. Every boss, except one, has its minimum level increased 1 to 6 levels, and some bosses also have higher scale values for one or more stats. So all of that to say, the US version, and also this is relevant to the remaster that just came out. This is relevant to the remaster, I promise. I'm making it more long-winded, but the remaster has the working designs like written script. It undoes these gameplay changes. So these examples are what did change even in the remastered version, because they didn't carry over working designs gameplay changes in these matters, at least. I don't know if I would have to assume something like the level. No, that was in the CD version, so that's not relevant. The amount of silver contained in all treasure chests is halved in the US version. That's really funny. Silver bonus in one of the hidden books in Vane's library is reduced from 100 to 10 silver. An Avey-like move to screw the player over for healing too much, Jessica's Escape Litany spell to warp out of dungeons costs 1 MP in the Japanese version, but 20 MP in the US version. That's mean. Let's see. I should have this up louder so that when I'm not talking, it's not as awkward. The US version adds support for memory cards in both slots, and allows for 4 saves per card instead of 3. See, like, they got changes like that, but then they have all those gameplay changes I was talking about, you know? US version supports analog controllers and added a optional rumble feature. Actually, I should talk about that. Yeah, it has DualShock support. It is a 8-way moving game, but the Sega CD version was only 4-way. So, I'm a big fan of that, at least. And at this point, I'm actually pretty surprised when I get to play a PS1 game on the channel and it has DualShock support. It's very nice. Let's see. The US version tacks a very long outtakes reel at the end of the credits, too. So, here's the other thing. You know, we've got lots of, like, the good and the bad of what working designs does. It would, in some aspects, it's kind of hard to argue that they weren't passionate about what they were doing, because with the games they did localize, the physical packaging they would do would be above and beyond. The packaging for both Lunar games in the US is pretty insane. It's like unexpectedly really cool how much stuff they pack into them, and working designs did that with most of them, if not all of them, with every game they were localizing. They made them like real like treats to open. which is why when you look up Lunar Silver Star Complete and you see the PS1, like, what is it? It's artwork, it looks so different. It included, I am trying to find where we're looking at and what it's included. Okay, Silver Star, this is on Wikipedia, is initially released in North America as a limited collector's edition, which included 2 game discs, a hardbound instruction manual, a soundtrack CD, Making of Luna Silver Star Story Complete special disc, which that documentary for both games, they're 30 minutes long each, is on YouTube. So if you want to look those up, you can watch them. A cloth map of the lunar world, and the package retailed for $60 to cover the cost of the elaborate extras. And similarly, they did that for Lunar Eternal Blue as well. Let me find the reference to that. Excuse me. Alright. I'm not seeing what was included directly right away here, as it talks more about the gameplay changes. Lunar 2 Eternal Package, Lunar 2 Eternal Blue complete package on PS1 back in the day. At Toys R Us, man. God. So, gaming, what is it? Working Designs did some cool stuff. They just had these weird choices and feelings because when you watch the documentary, they talk about this almost as like a more proud factor, but they hold like some of the like writing of the Japanese is long-winded and boring, so they're spicing it up. One example they talk about is there's a hermit character who's reclusive, and for the localization, they tack on a reason for why he's reclusive, and it's because he's smelly and gassy. So, you take the good, you take the good and the bad. Some solid changes, and then, let's see. The Cutting Room Floor also has info on the, that Windows Korean version. Published by AK, is dubbed in Korean, except for the songs. They're presented using, for some reason, they're presented using Working Designs dub of the 99 PC release instead. Ironically, this means that the Korean version for Windows features higher quality versions of these songs than any version released in English-speaking regions, though the intro is noticeably mistimed. Reading that, I don't know if that includes the remaster. I don't know if that statement still holds up. Someone was mentioning it earlier, though. We could take a listen. Let me, I will, hope this isn't too loud. No, it wasn't loud at all. Okay, so I will listen to that later. When we get to the remaster, I'll try to remember to bring this up. I forgot. I also failed to mention a few things here. The GBA remake has a different title, and it's really annoying I didn't write it. The GBA remake is called Lunar Legend, and then the PSP remake is called Lunar Silver Star Harmony. There was also a iOS version. Okay, I should stop what I'm saying there. It was called Lunar Silver Star Story Touch. iOS port is ported from the source code of the Saturn version. This is from the cutting room floor. Incorporates elements from the Windows and PSP ports. Specifically, in addition to the original graphics, this port also provides the Windows version scaled up graphics, and the script and voice acting are taken from the PSP version. While the PSP port is a different remake, it does use the same script and cutscenes as the 32-bit versions. This script is based on the PS1 version released by Working Designs, but with many changes to bring it more in line with the original Japanese script. Ooh. Came with a little punching puppet. I remember seeing that. Yeah, definitely had the music CD, a pendant, mini cardboard. This is for Eternal Blue, by the way. Eternal Blue's physical packaging. Had a music CD, a pendant, mini cardboard cutouts of the characters, a hardcover book, and I did see about the punching puppet. Yeah, I'm fascinated by what's going on with the script there. However, I don't have an iOS device. Man, I could get that, but I don't, man. So wrapping that back to the remaster, I'm sorry I'm mentioning the newly released remaster like every 20 minutes instead of like being on top of it. It is on Android too. Okay. Have it on Android. That I can more than likely be able to show. It would have been nice if the remaster just like rewrote or updated the script more than it did, because the rewrites for it are pretty minor. A lot of the more like obscure things are there. Like the dragon in the beginning is talking about where'd my windows go? My bookmarks here. That dragon's talking about a gem that they're looking for. And then in the US version, it's not a gem, it's shit. Like literally. You know, things like that. God. So, that's Working Designs. I think that's a good,
Who has awakened me from my deep slumber?
I know the timing was there on the left, but that was still timed to the right. Android Lunar got an update 8 days ago. Is there any patch notes? It's awful to hear Duro, I'm sorry. Especially that shit's expensive too. It even has widescreen support for Apple TV. Now I gotta see. Now you piqued my interest.
You are the first adventurers to visit me in a long time. I am Tetrarch of the Dragon Tribe.
Huh. Yeah. It's definitely not 4x3.
And now you have arrived at my
That's pretty cool.
It's a journey few have survived.
Now that irritates me that I didn't look into it more before doing this stream. However, it took me 3 days to record all these versions. So I just wanted to like get to where I can anyway. Because if anyone is recommending versions, it would be the original. Though I don't know, that sounds like a more promising mobile version for a JRPG than I would have found. Recording Apple TV footage for you. I will keep that in mind. You're a member, so that's pretty easy to find. We'll see. There is iOS devices in my house that I could use as well, though. I just don't know. And of course, Android. I have to see how it is on Android. See if it has the same business, and then I could just use the Android version. We will see. Anyway, that introduces the PS1 version, right? And then we're going to, Let's switch it up here and move on to... Crazy as already took an hour. I'm going to put a PS1 on the left. I'm going to put GBA on the right. And then after I get them set up, I will put them back on screen here. Just let me... Oh yeah, the GBA version was published by Ubisoft, by the way. Okay. Then I do this. Then I do that. Then I do this. There was no easy way of doing this with how many different versions I had to refer to. I was trying to actually just keep everything open at VLC Player. It turns out when you open 6 VLC video files, and they're also, what is it? These are all 444 color space. So it is not, like, easy to play 6 of these videos at once. Anyway, these are both on real hardware. This is, left is recorded on PS1 with RGB. The right is Game Boy Player and my GameCube, which has the, using the digital output on the back of the GameCube. So, let me go to here, right? This one? Where this is where we're at with the same cutscene. And we're just all text here, of course. And turn up the left a little bit too. Yeah, that's really interesting with the shadows. I don't know, that doesn't feel like a sprite limit. It feels more like it's trying to, it's every frame it's swapping between whose shadow it's rendering. Actually, yeah, that seems to be what it is, actually. That's funny. Anyway, doing a result of recording? I don't think so. The GBA player is real Game Boy hardware. And it should have been, no reason it wouldn't have been at 60 hertz. So, let's see. So, the GBA version makes pretty notable changes we're gonna see going into it. It seems pretty by the book so far. The first major difference will be when we get into town. In the left, you are just exploring town, you go to Luna. In the right, in the GBA version, Nash is in the beginning. He's right there. He is there before you put anyone else in your party. And then we have some other changes here going forward. JoJo All-Star Battle be a good video. It has quite a bit, if I recall. I don't know if I would do it, but... Oh yeah, that shadow thing's making me mad now, too. Look at, like, the characters who have, like, shadows drawn as part of their sprites. I don't know, you might as well have done that, but I get it. If they're gonna be dynamically moving. If it had to be presented like that, maybe there just shouldn't have been shadows in the first place. I don't think we're losing too much from them. The only one who should have a shadow would be, what is it? Our little flying friend. We get his name here. It's Rudy in, Lunar 2. Null. It's Null. The only one who should have a shadow is Null because they're floating and flying. Anyway, so moving on. Next in the, GBA version. So let me go to the overworld in the PS1 version, right? In the GBA version, it is a selectable map for the overworld. And from there, we're not going to a cave, we're going right into the woods. On the GBA's LLCD ghosting, yeah, you're probably right. It's real hardware, but probably on the screen, a GBA screen, it's probably not that bad. So you're going right into the woods. So right now, as of now, there's nothing to compare in my footage, because now we have just deviated really far, except in the woods you have a little, oh yeah, there's what battles look like. So let me throw this up over here. So they got you going here in the first battle with a full party, four party members rather. What is it? Luna gets a frying pan by the end of this recording for her weapon. So while we are in a completely different dungeon, and there's like actual puzzles going on here. In the GBA version, we got actual puzzles going on here that's throwing you out right away. One other thing is also shopping in the GBA version. I'm gonna rewind here a little bit. Shopping in the GBA version. The GBA version does want you to shop like pretty much right away. You're going to. You're gonna be getting into a lot more battles in the GBA version. A lot more frequently. But yeah, there's the frying pan. So they immediately want you getting this stuff. Anyway, so, dragon over here. And we are still seeing the dragon here in the GBA versions, just at the woods. GBA version of Jet Set Radio. Jet Grind Radio. I'm gonna let this play out while I look at this. It's based on the Dreamcast version, but I guess that didn't stop me from talking about Tekken, did it? I'll write that down. Anyway. So we're still here in the GBA version. It's just, you know, we went about a different way of getting there. We're going through a bit more plot. There's dialogue choices. You're given dialogue choices, shit here. GBA RPG. I'm sure I have one. It's not fresh on my mind, though. I would if I had finished playing Golden Sun, I would probably tell you Golden Sun. I do need to get around to that. Because my answer will probably change after I play Golden Sun. Playing mobile version right now and loving it. Games are great on mobile on the go. That's good. And yeah, we were gonna talk about scaling there. Well, for handheld, yeah, you do have the benefit on that mobile version, more than likely, and we'll discuss that why that is when we get to the remaster. But anyway, that's the GBA version. I don't know how much time I just spent on that. I think like 10 minutes. But it's a very different direction. So from this point in my footage, we have not that much to be able to accurately compare. So, let's, I'll just let the footage on the right, on the left stay. Hide this, and we're gonna do PSP version. Also real hardware, this is on my Vita TV. Don't worry about those other icons. Sorry. Jesus Christ. Do I have a limiter? I'm so sorry about that. Fuck. God, that startled me. You know why that is? The PSP is a really loud system. It is the only console I have that is so absurdly loud. I'm glad you didn't have headphones. Yeah, I feel awful about that. I hate that. It's so the PSP is like 3 times as loud as any other console, and with it may even rather the Vita TV, I guess, is where that issue stems from. Anyway, going from there. Headphones were on low volume. I'm glad. Good God. Is it smaller speakers or something? Maybe that's it. The Vita TV plugs into your TV, but it's still the Vita inside, so that may be why, or why it's like that. So as we see there, it's a much more different game right out the gate. Let's speed up to the main menu here. Oh no, that's not even there. The PSP version opens on this whole prologue, introducing you to Dyne and Dyne's party, and the goddess Althena, and then it also gives you your first battle early, which we don't really, well, we'll compare it, but certainly you can see how much more absurdly flashy things are for the version on the right, for the PSP version. Same, like, what they were going for. Who were those people? Well, you gotta play to find out. It's one of those, like, showing you, like, a prologue that makes no sense until, like, later in the game. Outside of, Dyne and Althena. And you just got everything else around them. But anyway. Yeah, it's about what you would expect from a PSP game. Are we even sure that this is, outside of that opening, are we even sure it's the same game? Yeah, it's the same. We'll go, like, here. It certainly looks different, but yeah, it's about Alex. We got Luna. That also means, though, we've got a new dub. The PSP version is redubbed, so we have another version of the cutscenes in English and rewritten. Now, when did the PSP version come out? (2010). This is a 2010 JRPG. I want you to guess who voices the protagonist, Alex. The kid we've been seeing? We'll go here.
Oh, hello, Null.
Can you guess who now voices him? Johnny Young is a really good guess. I would give you other guesses. Troy Baker, nope. Close. Alex, fuck off, Gord. Yeah, it's Yuri Lowenthal.
I wonder how long it's been since the dream of adventure came to fill my mind. Adventure, and Dragon Master Dyne, who fought so valiantly to protect the goddess Althena. I wonder if Dyne stood here before setting off on his own adventures. One day, I too hope to heed the call of the wind, beckoning me to the lands beyond.
And they kind of took this, yeah, they kind of took this dialogue and put it into the remaster.
Alex! Alex! Are you up here?
Yeah, and that's Null.
Oh, hey there, Null.
Yuri Lowenthal is a great actor.
What do you mean, oh, hey there?
So we have that going for it.
Are you deaf or something? I've been calling around for you everywhere.
You know when it's him, but his
I should've known
acting
you'd be up
is
here.
good.
You found me, Null.
But yeah, once again, it's rewritten, revoiced.
In honor of the great Dragon Master Dyne.
As a reminder.
You've always looked up to Dyne.
I just remembered. We better go meet Luna to practice singing. If we're late, she'll be upset.
This thing.
Oh, shoot. I just remembered that we have to meet Luna for practice, and if we show up late, you know what'll happen. She'll be mad.
As a reminder of where we're coming from here. Keep Galleon's voice the same. You know what's crazy? In the documentary, they talk about how, I wouldn't know. But they do talk about how, like, for example, the bassiness in the dragon's voice, they compliment, like, that... I'll get there in a sec. They compliment the bassiness of the actor, but then they pitch shift him down. Like, his voice is still pitch shifted, even though he already had a bassy voice.
You are the first adventurers to visit me in a long time.
Anyway, back to where we were.
Hey, Alex. I figured you might be here. Now that the warm weather has melted the ice near the Dragon's Cave,
I'll let that go until he walks in on the right. Oh, wait, it's paused.
Big adventure. If we hurry, we may be able to sneak in without waking the dragon. Then we can get a fantastically huge diamond from its lair worth thousands and thousands of silver, making us filthy, stinking rich and very popular in the process.
Hey, Alex, I thought you might be up here. You'll never guess what happened. Those heaping mounds of ice that were blocking the entrance to the White Dragon Cave have finally melted away. If we hurry, we can probably sneak in past the dragon. This could be our big chance! I bet we have a shot at getting one of those legendary dragon diamonds, like the ones we've been hearing about in the tales of the Dragon Masters.
There was no way, like, what did he say? Filthy, stinking, rich, and popular in the process? There was no way that line was gonna stay. There was no way. That's such an awkward line. But yeah. And we got these new portraits of them, even though it's gonna... These new portraits and kind of redesigns, even though they're gonna cut into those anime scenes. Like, such a different art direction between the portraits, the sprites, and then the cutscenes. Working with what they got, though, in terms of the anime cutscenes. But yeah, town, the layout's very different. The loot you find around town is different as well. Because we're gonna be, let's see, when we go out here. There's the basement loot and how the chests look. And then there's chests all around town. There's nothing like that in the original towns. You're not doing anything like this, opening, getting antidotes. So we're straying even further, but we're not... so far, there's no Nash, so we're not straying as far as the GBA version does. So small, I didn't even realize you can run like 3 hours. So yeah, the areas in the PSP version were so small, I didn't realize you could run for like 3 hours. I'm trying to find footage of me walking. Because I don't think I realized either. I want to see if I remember. Reminds me of the Star Ocean PSP games. Yeah, it does. Especially with the... Except they had new cutscenes to match the art style change, right? I don't think I knew you could run. I don't think I do that at all here. Unless I do it right now. Look at this menu. It is crazy. It's nothing like that for the original. Oh no, I realize you can run. Okay. Let's get battle music, sir, while we're here. Not recomposed, but redone. So, solid take on the soundtrack. If we remember here. I was waiting for that. Oh, yeah. Here, let me run because I missed my favorite part. was pretty good. When you hear that there was also a mobile version of this game, you might have imagined something closer to what the PSP version is. And it is not. Rewinding a little bit though, because we were gonna go, here, back to Luna. Frustrating I didn't put this, oh wait, no, I just clicked on the wrong one. Do I walk away? No, it just goes from there. I was wondering, and good to see this, because I was wondering if it was higher quality on PSP. And this would help, like, the remastered version of the cutscenes are upscaled, and I feel they would have used what they had on the right here to upscale. Which I think they got some good results out of it, so I think it would make more sense if it was from the PSP version's cutscenes. Oh, you know what they did? Because her skin color, like the little tan difference, very mild. It's closer to what it is in the PSP version, in the remaster. Yeah, it's with everyone. That makes it the easiest to see, is with the warmth of color. Okay, so that's answered that question.
Well, Alex, looks like you're late again, silly. Were you idling the morning away at Dine's monument again? Or were you busy planning another escapade with Ramus?
Yeah, come on, Claude. So unsurprising. Actually, you know what I would have liked if in the remaster, even if you did classic, it still showed the cutscenes on the right. That would have been cool. It's the PSP version on the right. The upscaled version is based on what's on the PSP version, but if you play classic, you're getting the PS1 versions of the cutscenes, the PS1 compression. Now that I think about that, yeah, now that I'm thinking about that as we look at it. Man, so, let's see, anything else about PSP for now? I thought the menus and everything were funny. Here, this dialogue goes on for a bit. Limit breaks. This is what I mean when I say these streams aren't adequate for comparisons. Especially when I'm only showing like the first few hours, if not an hour of a game. And that is ultimately still why I need to do the full port reviews. We're gonna miss out on things and more mechanic changes that are mid to late game. Warp wing. Anything going from here? We can properly look at the dragon. Because we did the cave, so we'll just cut to the dragon. At the same point of entering the cave. Xenogears get love. I Wouldn't hold my breath. Same with Xenosaga, I fear.
Who dares disturb my peaceful slumber?
$1.99 for Mike and Ayers. Thank you, I appreciate that. Will Lunar Video cover GBA as well? Yes. For as loose as it is, yeah, we'll still talk about it. Which, that comment reminded me, I never put the, alert. I didn't even put any of my watermark stuff on here. I can go grab it quick. Yeah, since I don't need to depend on those videos. Let's see.
It has been quite a long time since I last laid eyes on one of your kind. I am Quark, master of this.
I've left the watermark and everything off this whole time, but well, I still like
this ancient old dragon.
I think we might as well leave it off at this point. Oh well. Yeah, look at his head move and the tail. Rankin base smog. Man. They do change their portraits, right? They have more than one portrait in the PSP version. We'll see it here, if they do. Emotions? Yeah. Oh, there you go. On PlayStation more than PSP. Ultimately, I prefer the remaster, but I do like how the, there would have to be a charm to the PlayStation version. But anyway, I think we're good on PSP. So now we can look properly at the remaster and talk about more things I missed beforehand. So let's see here. So, and this will be a good time to look at the cutscene qualities as well. Glad that one wasn't as loud. Let's see. I sure hope I got him on the right side. Sprite work of PS1. Yeah, that's a... Yeah, that one's fair. That one's pretty fair. Pulling up my bookmarks here. You can tell from the artifacting, the way the artifacting flickers on the left. Oh, sorry, they're on the same side. I'll rewind. You can tell from the flickering artifacting that it is based on the PS1 version's pre-rendered scenes, FMVs. But this is the upscaling job that they did. So yeah, I'm curious about the song quality. Let me listen to this here. Find that page here. It's been an hour and a half and we're still on Lunar 1. We'll have like a notable break before we get into Lunar 2. But at least we're getting there. Yeah, the upscaling looks impressive because it's based on those PSP versions of the cutscenes. Like, if they were upscaling the PS1 quality here, like this was the source video they fed into AI, that'd be insane. If that was the result. However, that it would explain, like, why some of the line art is so damn, like, there's a certain line art, like there, that's really damn sharp and comes through so clear. That, like, gets the best, like, work there. Were it not for the working design script, I'd sure get into this remaster. Yeah, that's fair. I think you have a point there. So anyway, I wanted to listen to the, I'll rewind it here too. No, that sounds pretty high quality. So with this remaster, you also have to choose between playing classic or remaster. Your saves work in both versions. It's just you have to back out and then go into the other one. I really wish you could mix and match options, because I would like the upscaled pre-rendered stuff. But then I would still like the sprite look of the left side, instead of the zoomed in 16:9 stuff. Gameplay is based on the Japanese version, right? Yes. Yep. Working design script, but it is the gameplay of Japanese version. So yeah, I've been getting used to how the font looks, but it is possible this game looks better in 4K. Like the font that they use looks sharper.
I don't remember when it started exactly.
I have been reading about gameplay, people noting gameplay changes. I'm pretty sure that is the case.
Early and has yet to let go. You see, my hero is Dragon Master Dine. Outside my village, there's a monument made in his honor.
It is easier, yeah.
Most fantastic of all.
You know what it is? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is it, because I've seen people commenting on how they understood why working designs did that in some cases. Why they would think they should tone it up in difficulty. I was reading people in reviews say that. Is the VU reused? It's completely re-recorded. It's all new actors and everything. All new actors, pre-rendered scripts, and everything.
Oh, hey there, Null.
Alex, couldn't you hear me? I've been flying around calling your name for the past half hour looking for you. I should have known I'd find you here.
Where else would I be?
In honor of the great Dragon Master, Dine. I'm aware that Dine was likely the greatest and most well-known member of the Four Heroes, Alex, but I'm honestly amazed you never get tired of coming to stare at his dome monument. Shoot, I just remembered that we need to meet with Luna to practice singing, and we better hurry because we both know she'll be upset if we're late. But I'm honestly amazed you never get tired of coming to stare at his dome monument. Shoot, I just
right, this I forgot the left is still the remaster.
Hurry, because we both know she'll be upset if we're late.
I was like, wait, that's not right. I forget the left isn't PS1. Things take it. There's something they do with the filtering the backgrounds that I'm not a fan of. When they make them widescreen, it really bothers me. I wish they were just left as sharp as they are on the left. Like whatever they did to smooth out the backgrounds, I wish they didn't do. I wish it was just raw zoom in, nearest neighbor quality. I'm gonna throw the PS1 version into the left, since we do get the same experience otherwise.
Hey, Alex! I figured you'd be here. Now that the weather's gotten warm enough to melt the ice around the Dragon's Cave, there's no time for us to waste getting started on our big adventure. If we hurry, we can sneak in without waking the dragon. And then, if we're fast enough, maybe we could find a giant diamond from its lair with thousands of silver that'll make us filthy rich and more famous than we could ever dream of.
Where are we here? Voice-wise, it would be easier to, look at the original. But I'm not, just getting a reminder here.
Alex, couldn't you hear me? I've been flying all over for the last half hour calling for you. But I should have known you'd be here.
Oh no, where else would I be?
Let's see.
Dyne was probably the greatest of the four heroes, Alex, but I'm amazed that you never get tired of coming to stare at his dull monument.
Oh, sorry, we're in Japanese now. That's right, I recorded my HD footage, like the other half of it I recorded in Japanese. It's like the only thing I was doing to get the Japanese voices. Otherwise, it's way back here earlier.
The Great Dragon Master, Dyne. I'm aware that Dyne was likely the greatest and most well-known member of the four heroes, Alex, but I'm honestly amazed you never get tired of coming to stare at his dome monument. Shoot, I just remembered that we need to meet with Luna to practice singing, and we better hurry because we both know she'll be upset if we're late.
I'm mostly a fan of the remasters take on those cutscenes. But it does... Actually, here was the other thing. Let me look back here, right? Let me look at what we're reading here in the script.
I'm aware that Dyne was likely the greatest and most well-known member of the four heroes, Alex.
Okay, so in the remaster, if you play in Japanese, you're getting different subtitles. You're getting the proper subs for what they're saying in Japanese, as opposed to when you dub it, you gotta match lip flaps and you gotta control timing of how they're saying it to that. If you just play in the Japanese version, the script is different. It's the same way you would watch a sub separately. It would not be the dubbed script to what they're saying. I love that approach. It started in games, I would say pioneered by the Yakuza, Like a Dragon localizers. They first did that with Judgment, and have done it since then. I share the story of how, like, when, I always play the Judgment games in English, and Yagami's nickname is Tak. I was talking to a friend who's only played the Japanese version, or rather with Japanese voices, and he never heard the name Tak, because that's not his nickname in Japanese. Which is very funny to have tried to communicate on that note. But anyway, yeah. So, I like when they do that as well. God, I'm glad we talked some things about the remaster going in. So we did talk about the pixel. There is also in the remaster, we'll see it here when on the screen transitions, that white gradient at the top of the screen is overlaid the entire game. That white gradient's over the whole thing. So if you're playing that, you've got the zoomed in 16:9 backgrounds that have some weird upscaling done on them. You've got that, and you have the optional tilt shift, which is what post FX is. Why is that there? Look, I can't tell you. You call him Tabo in what is it? When you hear Kaito say it, yeah. I really wish you could just get these cutscenes if you play Classic. Yeah, that's why they turned out so well in this remaster, is because they're based on those ones from the PSP version. Yeah, I mentioned the difference in the warmth of skin tones here. Granted, I think it's still adjusted. Shown the PSP version yet? I did earlier. Yeah, let's throw that here. Let me lower the volume and then show the PSP version.
ラムスといたずらの相談かしら？
And look back at that cutscene to fully confirm and illustrate what we're talking about here. This whole part of the opening. Well, I think it has to be based on it, but they did do more color correcting to match what was in the PS1 version. Here's the other thing, though, and what would still indicate it's the based on the PSP cutscenes would be the pan we just saw isn't that smooth in the PS1 version. The pan wasn't smooth, and in here it is smooth, and surely it would just be easier to upscale what we have on the left here, you know? But I do think they tried to also match the color grading, things like the skin tone warmth, with what is in the original.
アレス、今日も遅刻ね。どうせまたダイン様の塚に行ってたんでしょう。それとも
At least when we're talking about this, we don't have to worry about it as much. I did not think I'd be going this late, though, but let's see. Yeah, we have our gameplay based on the Japanese version. Saga Frontier 2 stream a lot. I appreciate that. The original script subs the thing just for cutscenes, or would you get the hope of the whole common dialogue too? If it's revoiced, it probably has that revision to it. But it is still outside of that, the working design script with minor changes, to my understanding. There are still things like if we go to the dragon here in the remaster and the end of his dialogue. Like if they were gonna change like working design isms, we'll call them. I'm skipping through it too fast. But I was talking about when you referencing the dragon shit. This is how fast it goes when you hold the button, by the way. I don't think you mentioned it. Huh. Oh no, it is there. So things like, he's still like, it's based on, or like, thinking that's his shit, that's still there. Is the gloom on the top? Yeah, it's still there. The only thing the post-effects setting removes is the, it removes, let's see, a fake tilt shift blur to the top and bottom of the screen. So it doesn't impact the gradient at all. It, post-effects only changes that blur. And even if you have that off, that post-effects blur is baked into all battle cutscenes. So even with that setting off, every battle is going to still have the blurry, foreground and background. Compared to, let's throw the PS1 version back in there. Go back there, go here, battle. The battle speed up is nice, by the way. You get 3 times speed up in battle. And I think that does complement the Japanese difficulty a little better. But yeah, first, it would be a more faithful localization to honor Japanese scripts. That means 2 subs for the game. If Gung Ho did it here, right, I think it would. Granted, I don't know if it'll be all dialogue, but for voice cutscenes, I would expect that, yeah. Gung Ho is doing trails first, right? I think that took a little bit to be confirmed. Yeah. So, let me get the dragon's voice. Oh wait, that's in Japanese, right? So the voice would be, here. So how did they do with the dragon?
Who has awakened me from my deep slumber?
It has to be the PSP version. There's literally new frames in there that were not there before.
It is rare for humans to venture into my land.
I was talking about
ones as young as you 3. I am Quark, head of the Dragon Tribe. You have traveled a long and dangerous road to stand here before me, my young adventurers, and thus your mission must be urgent.
See, like totally different. What was I saying? Yeah, we did mention. I forgot that part. I keep forgetting that part of the game. Selling physical. It is on Amazon only. It is exclusive, and it's sold out because there were no pre-orders. The CEO has already confirmed. They confirmed like pretty much right away. They will be producing more copies. It is not a limited collection release at all. So there is no worry in terms of getting a hold of it at all, because they will make more. It's not a limited physical collection at all. It's not intended to be. So if you see the scalped prices on eBay, don't look at my GBA flashcard. Don't buy those. It's not a limited edition game. All right, it swapped over the GBA. It's really late. I did not think Lunar 1 itself would take 2 hours. I could just straight ask, if I kept going, would people stick around? Because I have to take like a 15-minute break for Rita. If I took a break for 15 minutes, will we all be down to keep watching? Or should I stop the first game now? Stop and then do 2 tomorrow or something. Final Verdict, Remaster best version? Yeah, for those gameplay changes, at least like more what was originally intended. Yeah, visually. I just wish you got like a mix of settings. It's been remade 50 times. Yeah, that too. Chill on that. I'm at work, so I'm here for the whole stream. I'll be here. For remaster price as much? Yes, I would say that, yeah. Just got here. I will do a break then, and then, you know, for Gaming Blows, it's, you know, we got the VOD and everything. But otherwise, alright, if that's what we feel, I will stick around, but let me, we'll keep going for tonight, but I need to take a break for Rita. So, let me set up some, let's see. Some of my music for streams here. Because I will be back in like 15 minutes or so. So we'll be right back. Alright, chat, I'm back. Good time with the music. Alright, let me get myself set up here. Now take a look at Lunar 2. Much more straightforward. We don't have PSP or GBA to worry about. So we are only on Sega CD and Sega Saturn and PS1 and then Remaster. I'm more out of breath because I have to carry Rita up the stairs. She's at her healthiest weight too, but you know. Let's see. My text thing's not working. The volume's there, I need to turn it up. Damn it. Sega Saturn over here. Sega CD over here. I don't know why the text didn't pop up. I'll have to look at that real quick. Let's see. Oh, I know why it's doing. I know it's not working. Gotta go through, Oh, jeez, I didn't do any of these. One more moment here. There's just a little, little efficiency thing here to give me a little more, one less thing to worry about when I'm flipping through everything. Trying to make it so the text automatically appears when I put a game on screen. So I don't have to worry about managing the names of them at the same time as everything else. If the YouTube algorithm has to hear me at the same time as the algorithm analyzing what's on screen, nothing is showing on her. There's nothing showing. It is like always an outline. I hope that is good enough for it. We will find out later if I get any message. So, what do we need to talk about with Lunar 2? We do have a similar story in the purpose of the Sega CD itself being the music and the voice acting. There was so much flashing, man. And we have more CG going on in these cutscenes. They use the CG much more often in the FMVs and in Eternal Blue. So let me let's see. Pull up my bookmarks here so I can get these going in sync. This is the Sega CD and Sega Saturn version, so we're not on localization yet. We are starting with where we are in terms of upgrades in this first remake of the game. Now, granted, what they're doing on the left is pretty impressive.
Did you say something?
Yeah, we'll get to the PS1 version afterwards.
Oh, great. Don't tell me you're hearing voices now.
But...
Hurry up and get the dragon's eye. The timer's almost run out on the trap.
Trap? What trap?
And this is in Japanese, because it's Sega Saturn.
Why didn't you tell me about that earlier?
I did, but you were too wrapped up in getting the jewel to
That shit's so charming, though.
Hold on, I've almost got it.
Hurry, hero.
There.
Yeah, we'll get to PS1 after we get to CD first, one at a time. I like how they handle this opening, so we'll let this go from here.
I'm okay, Ruby. It's just a few bruises.
Okay, that's it. No more exploring for us. I've had it. We always end up getting in
Because this is a cute little intro they do.
Listen. Come on, Ruby, let's get out of here.
That's still from the CD over there.
Well,
I don't know, man. This presentation being on the Sega CD of all things is pretty crazy
by the way,
for the
if
era.
you haven't figured it out, my name is Hero. And the flying cat is named Ruby. She said she's actually a baby red dragon, but I don't know if I quite believe her. She doesn't care, though. We've been friends for what seems like forever. My grandfather Gwyn is an archaeologist who taught us how to explore ancient ruins like this. Well, not exactly like this. Grandpa'd have a coronary if he saw me in this kind of danger, but you get the idea.
And make this more interesting and mix it up in the
these dungeons and ruins
Saturn
that time
version
forgot
over there.
Can be found and explored by someone like me. This world is full
No, the
of
voice is from
wonderful
Sega CD because the
blue
Saturn
star
version is not
from which
dubbed
our ancestors
or
supposedly
even
came.
released in
Tales
America.
of dragons and heroic dragon masters, a magic city that flew in the sky, and the goddess of love and beauty, Althena.
All that voice acting
All
just
those
goes on
legends
as
and
they
places have to
run
be true.
around.
I believe them more with every step I take in places like this. The world I live in today is the result of things that happened long ago. Someday, I'll gather enough information from ruins like these to prove that, and maybe even get to see the goddess Althena.
The Genesis Mini 2 didn't have Lunar 1 or 2 on where the Japanese version did. That sucks. Yeah, at the time, that's impressive. Ignore that retro arc. So we get out here. Let's see. I got another cutscene here. That upgrade's just cool, man. It'd be cool if Wild Arms got anything. Man, when I woke Rita was so out of it when I woke her up. It's funny.
It looks like a ship, but it moves without wind or sails.
Hey, you! Yes! You over there! What are you doing in this area?
Who does this Joker think he is? We might ask you the same thing, mister!
I wasn't talking to your cat! I was talking to you, boy!
Hello? Time for your eye exam!
There is a Wild Arms spiritual successor, I believe, yeah.
You're gonna get us in trouble. My name is Hero.
A lot of thoughts on Switch too. I don't know if I can go into them now at the time of handling all this at the same time. So this is what on the left, it was the right it's recreating with that CG.
Certainly. I am White Knight Leo, leader of Althena's Guard. And this is the dragon ship Destiny. Now
There we
then,
go.
listen up. You kids need to evacuate this area. A confrontation is about to
Rita's
take
11
place.
years old.
I don't want to see any civilians accidentally caught in the middle of this thing. Return to your home immediately. Move it!
Well, we might as well get a little of the original.
Helmsman, set a new
いいか、よく聞け。これからこの付近は戦場となる。お前のような子供はうろちょろしない方が身のためだ。さっさと町に帰れ。 いいな。
So we got that. I want to look at the sprite work in the next area. Oh, once again, no overworld combat. Oh no, there was no overworld combat in either, I believe. Yeah, no. But it is closer. Right? Let me see. Is this fading out of battle? No, there's battles. Yeah. So once again, there's overworld battles, and the overworld is a lot longer between areas in the CD version, and then in Saturn, they just condense it and no battles. So if we hop back here to where I was showing off. In this area, I'm saving. And then, I mean, I get up there so fast. You gotta they want you to wander a little bit in the CD version. Yeah, it was just a save screen. So remake here. Hello, Rita. Hello, Mario. The music, it's the same in this one. It's not entirely recomposed like Lunar 1 was. So it's a take on the same soundtrack. Yes, when you see it, they call it Sega Saturn because when you see it, you make like Saturn's rings and walk away. We need a gif of that one. That CD sprite work is pretty impressive, actually. There was hardly much to improve on. They did a really good job in that area. I wanted to skip to the damn basement on the right. Oh, whatever. Oh, okay. So in playing, this was my first time playing the game. I wander like an idiot for a long time here. I pause the recording eventually, but I head out to the dungeon alone without Gramps, and then I have to come back to it. So I got a lot of this skipped here. Because you go into the basement, and then they want you to talk to him after you go into the basement. The dialogue makes that very obvious, but then I failed to do that. So anyway. Yes, this is emulator, so very likely load times will be worse. And even here, they're a bit noticeable. They try to replicate them, but I have to imagine they're longer. My PS1 ones also may not be as accurate, because on my PS1, they're all playing from... Most games are playing from the port on the back of the console. I think that thing does have faster read-write speed than the discs on PS1, the CDs. I don't know for sure, though. So this is the same dungeon we're looking at here. This is crazy. This is a crazy glow-up. That's the same dungeon. Same thing we're doing, we're going to switches. Oh yeah, it was the battle. I was like, what's happening on the right there? I went into battle. Can I get to somewhere so I can listen to the music? Actually, I can just go back to where we were. I think the music and voices, I think they really took advantage of the CD. This is the Saturn. What I was just playing a moment ago was the CD. This is Saturn now. I'm looking forward to whatever they do with Tails, hopefully. God, hopefully. The FPGA PS1. I want to know what the hell they're doing with their, what the hell the analog N64 is. I'm so curious about that thing. But alas, we will wait. So... it was just for the first area, and then we get to the second half of this dungeon. And we're just doing a little something different with the battle environments too. Yeah, that Mega Man X guitar. I was a big fan of it. Well, I mean, at least it's the same music. Backdrop on the menu. In the remaster? The remaster in classic has a border, if that's what you mean. But I mean, yeah, it's not for everyone. We talked about working designs a lot at the beginning of the stream. We'll probably get to look at it more, even though the CD version here is localized by working designs. I fucked up whatever battle I was just doing. But there's a lot of, like, you take the good with the bad. The packaging was pretty dope. There's quality of life changes. The pop culture and potty humor sucks. But if they weren't gonna do it, like with the games they did, if they didn't do it, no one was going to bring them over to the West. They certainly exposed people to them and made people fans of these series in the first place. Ambitious. But also the difficulty changes they make suck too. But I mean, we talked about, so in changes between CD and Saturn in the same vein. In the CD version, when you get to Lucia at the top, you have to do this whole spiral around area, and on the right, you just walk over. No battles in this zone. But on the left, you have to do this whole spiral trip around to get to her in this final stretch. And then you get to her. Here. Go here so we can hear in English. Sega CD version.
Look at that. It's just floating there. Do you think...
Flashing, man. I don't know too much about Alundra, outside of what Working Designs did, as I was just watching a video on that. This damn flashing dude, I hate it. These cutscenes in 2 are a lot longer. I don't know how much of them I'm gonna let play out. The pop culture references have made them more popular. I disagree with the changes. The script flow better regarding the new scene scripts. Their script flow better regarding the new scene scripts. I don't know. It's there's just so many more more practices in dubbing and localization today that I appreciate. as opposed to how many more. When as I was saying in the beginning, you know, by working designs words, they take the major plot points and then they throw out the rest.
My name is Lucia.
That is literally their philosophy: is take the major plot points and then throw out the rest.
Your world is in grave danger.
We get the major plot points at least.
I must see
you know?
Althena immediately. Take me to her.
She looks like she could be some sort of goddess or something. What are we gonna do, Hero? Ruby to Hero! Hello?
She's the most beautiful girl I've ever seen.
They were a lot more ambitious with those scenes in too. Like all these scenes on Sega CD look great.
Babbling about. She's not even human. Snap out of it.
Oh, hey, ouch! Knock it off.
Yeah, 2 on Sega CD has a really good presentation.
Where are you going?
I have come to this world to seek Althena.
But yeah, part of the thing with Lucia is when you get going with her. Let me see here. She clears and does all the battles for you, and in the original it's about like you just had to get through that stupid spiral of tougher encounters, and now you're gonna go back through that spiral with her and notice that she's a lot stronger. And then in Sega Saturn they make more of a point of it with a whole cutscene. Saturn used CD-ROMs? Yes, yeah they did. From the ground up. The Saturn was closer to PS1 and N64, whereas Dreamcast was closer to GameCube and PS2. They're a bit of a like step between, but that is where they're closer to and what you can expect from them. Which is why, you know, we went from Saturn to PS1 with the same version there. More power with the CD-ROM capacity. I think it is still, yeah, CD-ROM. Because I don't think it really would have changed until... Actually, I would have to be reminded of the capacities, but up till PS2. I know when I've looked into PS1 games and Dreamcast games, they're dealing with the same capacity, right? If I recall correctly. Star Ocean or Tails? I guess. I don't want to make that choice. Dreamcast had more than CD. I see. Hold on, let me turn the AC on here. Let's see. I think that was my last point there. We got a boss battle. The presentation of how this boss battle, or not how this boss battle goes. That's not... Oh, okay, I see. I was having trouble saving in the CD version, so I was just using save states. There's got to be a patch that fixes the MP saving nowadays, right? Was the MP saving a thing only in the working designs? Was that a working designs decision? As I don't remember when I was looking at Saturn. Okay, so the thing about, yeah, there probably is. Here's the other thing about working designs, if me introducing them, is there was a whole series of fan patches for working designs games, referred to as unworking design patches. So if there was anything, you would look for a unworking designs patch for the game, which would have the goal of, they didn't really impact the scripts as much so, but the gameplay changes were more or less what they were trying to fix with those patches, what fans were trying to fix with those patches. Or you're playing the different versions. I think a lot of Western fans that I like hear and reference, I don't know if a lot of them have as much experience with the CD version. There's definitely more online resources for Saturn PS1, and I'm highlighting that because if you get the remaster, you can pretty much play the PS1 version if you play the classic mode in it. Enough of it. Yeah, I'm working designs and change the scripts. And we get something like that someday. Get more Sega JRPGs, yeah. DC optical drive are bad because people burn the disc. Yep, I did that. Prematurely aged the optical drives. Yeah, for this, a lot of people's plans that I agree with is waiting for a sale. Because it is $50 for both games in the remaster right now. I think I agree with the move of waiting for a sale. Unless you're like really impressed with like the Sega CD versions here. Let me see here. Are they even on How Long to Beat? $20 hours for the Sega CD version from Lunar Silver Star. I was not expecting that. And then Silver Star Story, 27 hours for a playthrough. And there are story changes too. At least there's so the story changes, right? There's more story changes in Lunar 1 CD to Saturn than there is Lunar 2 CD to Saturn. That was left intact. There weren't story changes in these in Lunar 2. Anyway, the last thing I was going to show here was the presentation of this scripted end here. So this is a fight you can't win. In the original, you get to it goes on during the battle itself. In Saturn, it'll cut out a battle for it. I think it kind of looks a little cooler. The flashing's annoying, but the translation differences between the versions. The PS3 release had a new localization from Xseed. Were we highlighting that? It was still using, it was building off the working design script. It wasn't, I don't think it was a new translation. It was a new localization, but it did build off, because if I recall correctly, in the beginning, Quark is still talking about shit. I'm pretty sure he still talks about shit in the PSP version. If I recall correctly, the PSP version isn't a totally new from-scratch localization at all. We were remarking and looking at it, and where you would get the most refinement seemed to be the PSP version. Sorry, the iOS version. I lost my place here. I hit the end of the video, so it changed videos. Get back over there. So, for the most part, right. So, from CD to Saturn, those are the important things. Now, yeah, okay, I think we're good to swap over to Saturn to PS1 here. So, I'm going to throw Saturn over here and PS1 over here. Move these over. Pull up ignore that PSIO. Pretend that's not there. Okay. Here's something. Yeah, when you start, look what happens when you start a new game in Lunar 2. That transition from the menu, and then the PS1 version doesn't do that. It fades out and back in. Man, what a cool presentation. Just that smooth fade from the title screen in.
However, Althena took pity on that world and transformed it into a place of beauty.
Damn, that's sick. Anyway, Lunar 2 Remaster also scrapped the... neither of them scrapped the working design scripts or translations. They just refined them more. In the pre-rendered stuff, the stuff they did new voice acting for, that's rewritten. And then also resubbed, because as we said, if you play with the Japanese voices in the remaster, it will have different subtitles more aligned to what they are saying in Japanese, as opposed to the English dub, which is more aligned to lip flaps and sounding cool and flowing. Sounding better, rather. Yeah, the only difference we got in English would be for Lunar. It was for Lunar 1. It was the iOS version of Lunar 1. Lunar's Silver Star Touch. iOS and Android. It is on Android as well. That is, and even that is still the working design script, but with more... We were reading that it does have changes that make it more accurate to the Japanese script. It didn't make changes, but it was still building off of it. It sounded like that made more changes than what the remaster did. But I don't know for sure because I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready to hear about that. So I didn't have that prepared for this stream. When I do a full port review, it'll probably be there and much more relevant with the iOS and Android version. It really sounds like that version is worth going into. So anyway, same here with yeah, the cutscenes get to look a little better on PS1. Let's see. Hop ahead to where we were here. In the, let's see. We're working upscaling backgrounds. Yeah.
Ruby,
I wish they used a different technique.
Oh, great. Don't tell me you're hearing voices now.
I'm sure I heard something. I should have brought Grandpa's chisel. This is way harder than I thought. Ugh.
Hurry up and get the dragon's eye. The timer's almost run out on the trap.
Trap? What trap?
Maybe those load times are accurate on my PS1.
Why didn't you tell me about that earlier?
That seemed like a pretty ample load time.
Oh yeah, the jewel. Hold on, I've almost got it.
Hurry, Hero.
There, I got it.
What's that rumbling?
Oh no, the exit's closing. Hurry!
Let's go back and align that a little bit. There we go.
Oh, Hero, don't die on me. You just can't die.
I'm okay, Ruby. It's just a few...
Man, if I didn't have more to compare, I would think something was wrong with my capture.
No more exploring.
But no, the PS1 tiles background just looked like that.
Ruby, listen.
Alright, completely different.
What?
Come on, Ruby, let's get out of here.
In Remaster, doesn't scream Hero as she dives. Did she scream it in Japanese, though?
Looks like you've caught us in another messy situation. Oh, by the way, if you haven't figured it out, my name is Hero.
I'll rewind the right on a second.
She says she's actually a baby red dragon. I don't know if I quite believe her. She doesn't care.
What, that part? She screamed it earlier, before the dive itself. Anyway, back to the corny opening here. We'll say campy.
Well, looks like you've caught us in another messy situation. Oh, by the way, if you haven't figured it out, my name is Hero, and the flying cat is named Ruby. She says she's actually a baby red dragon, but I don't know if I quite believe her. She doesn't care though. We've been friends for what seems like forever. My grandfather Gwen is an archaeologist who taught us how to explore ancient ruins like this. Well, not exactly like this. Grandpa'd have a coronary if he saw me in this kind of danger.
90s era
but
steps.
You get the idea. I think it's so cool that these dungeons and ruins that time forgot can be found and explored by someone like me.
Retro Crush has a Twitch channel. I find very funny.
The world I live in today.
But if you would want some of that,
things that happened long ago.
go on Retro Crush.
I'll gather enough information from ruins like these to prove that.
Of East 1 and 2. Yep, we'll get to them at some point. Though my backlog is going to start at Dragon Quest 3, I believe. Let's see. From there, we got music. So let's see here. This is Sega Saturn. Thanks for sticking around, Donnie. Appreciate it. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with East. Oops. That guitar is a little closer to what they were trying to do in the CD version. Yeah, I kind of prefer PS1 on that one. Yeah. But I would still need to hear like full game soundtracks to judge them more. I like Sega CD for the first game and PS1 for Lunar 2. Just the music they do with the Sega CD is really impressive for the era. And because of the tech, it still sounds pretty good today. For the most part. Let's see. Got our friend here. This one's pretty identical. Yeah, they really just changed the sprites in that, the sprite background. Excuse me, they changed the background in that first area. I like the borders for text boxes better in the PS1 version. Oops. So we're hearing the PS1 version audio.
Wow, Hero! Get a load of that! It's incredible! But what the heck is it? It looks like a ship, but it moves without wind or sails.
Hey, you! Yes! You over there!
Getting that on the Saturn is still impressive.
Who does this Joker think he is?
My name is Hero, and this is Ruby. Identify yourself!
Certainly. I am White Knight Leo, leader of Althena's Guard. And this is the dragon ship Destiny. Now then, listen up. You kids need to evacuate this area. I don't want to see any civilians accidentally caught in the middle of this thing. Return to your home immediately. Move it!
I think it would be the Saturn's lower resolution, but PS1 is lower quality. Because it has PS1 has more artifacting. That would be the easier way to say it. The PS1 FMVs have way more artifacting. There was a choice for a solid text boxes on the PS1 version as well. In the Saturn version, it's solid or for the UI, it's solid or checker boxed.
Helmsman, set a new course. Destination, Gwynn's Research Outpost.
He kind of sounds like Harrison Ford. Let's move on over yonder. Why do I mention the overworld? It's me saving on the left. Save on PS1. Which, I mean, I like having as many slots as there are, like, save slots on the PS1 memory card. I'm getting annoyed with having to back up all my saves constantly, though. The alternative to $50 for 2 classics would be paying too much for the physical copies, or, you know, emulation. I mean, and for the 16:9, the quality of it's a little distracting with how I'm not a big fan of how they upgraded them. However, it's still, I think if I play them, I would play them in classic. When I do get to play them fully through and with no interruptions, I think I'll do the classic. However, the fact that that is an option, I've said it before, I think that I would like that with more remasters, is including something similar to what this has with the classic mode. Or at least, like, if it's like a remake, include the original ROM emulated. If it's at least emulated, at least it's an officially sold version of that old version. Because it's easy to say, like, they can never replace the original. But wouldn't it be cool if they also just offered the original with whatever they were changing, you know? But don't really see that as often. Anyway, I would understand people waiting for a sale. Before I get any other console versions of it, I will wait for their sales, like PlayStation and Xbox. CD, oh, that would have been cool. Though Sega CD and Sega Saturn emulation, I don't think are certainly not as well researched as some others, but granted, this is still solid. The emulation I have going on for CD and Saturn that I've been showing is pretty damn good. I don't know if their solutions are open source, though, or where anyone else in the industry stands on that. Are there any modern re-released Sega CD or Sega Saturn games that are emulation and not ports? Because it will be around. They said they're making more as long as they have demand. They said it is not intended to be a limited collector's edition or limited release. So long as there's demand, they're going to make more copies. Produce more physical copies. Anyway. Where were we going from here? Into the dungeon. We already got battle music. This is the PS1 music. And now we'll do Saturn music. I did see some YouTubers got like some nice like care packages that like PR companies do. My only attempt to reaching out to Gung Ho was the day this remaster collection came out. That was kind of on me. I could have asked earlier, but anyway, I don't have anything like that. But yeah, the things that were given to creators for promoting the game, those kind of... publishers and PR companies do those all the time. I did get a... I was given a poster for Star Ocean, the recent remake of it. Second Story R. I was given a sick poster. I don't think this poster is available in any other situation. It's a pretty frequent thing they do. And that comes more from the PR company that Square Enix worked with, and is still working with, as far as I'm able to tell. But, yeah, it was pretty nice what they offered. And for a game with a legacy where the PS1 versions of them had such cool stuff with them, I think that's more of what makes it sting with what the YouTubers got. Is this original PS1 releases were known for that. Oh man, these voice lines during battles.
We've got to keep our strength up.
The PR devs pubs know what you do and try to help you with providing older copies. The only time I've gotten that was with Square Enix, before Final Fantasy VII Remake. When Remake was releasing, a lot of things were shifting around and becoming more... They were doing more PR practices that everyone else does, which is also things like laxing on the... bringing up how often you have to disclose that you were given a copy. Because you have to do that. You have to do that no matter what. But they did have older policies of constantly bringing it up that they don't anymore. But it did, what they were doing with changing around 7 Remake. So in the era before 7 Remake came out, for Dragon Quest XI's, I was still given a code for Dragon Quest XI for PS4. That would have been a code like sitting unused for years. That's it. That's really the... there was some at that point too where I was able to get like, I think FF8 early, but I wasn't really early enough like what journalists would probably have. I was given a very short time frame on that. So it's not very often, and certainly it has not been often in like the last like 4 years. It hasn't happened. That's not how it works anymore, I fear. Not just Square, with everyone. But with the PR companies, yeah, sometimes they'll send you cool shit. But yeah, sending me Dragon Quest XI, I think was about it. That was also, at that time, they would give me, like, more than one code. They don't do that anymore. They only have one code spare. Because they do reach out to more people than they do as well, I'm pretty sure. So there's a limited availability, and when you generate codes for Switch games, you have to pay Nintendo for those. You have to pay Sony as well, but I don't think as much. It's definitely the Switch codes they charge the most for. I think Steam for a very long time Valve did not charge to generate those. I think they do now. And it was a change made due to abuse. In general, it's abuse, because there was a very long time where people were just, creators could be given codes and not have to make anything. Not really the case anymore. Anyway, yeah, Dragon Quest XI's had to really rework a bunch of stuff. I covered it in the video, but it had to rework a lot of stuff visually to work on Switch. And then when they ported Dragon Quest XI's to the other consoles, it had to stick with the changes graphically made for the Switch hardware. So, it does visually lack. It does look pretty... The PS4 version does look pretty nice, by comparison. I don't know if any mods really restore that. I believe there's attempts at it, though, but I don't know how much they succeed, because it is more than textures. It is like lighting and shading. Shadows. Anyway, Yeah, these days and these days being like multiple years now, I will be given like a code or maybe a second code, and then I have to handle everything else on my own. So.
Dodge this.
Got the path, that battle with Lucia. Because I don't, how long was this scene? We can go back to it. Oh, yeah, I like that scene, yeah, at the end of it. The voice acting's pretty good. I'm trying to line these up. Oh yeah, forget to talk about the gameplay changes in the remaster. No, yeah, I'd really like say that we could go with the remaster for this game. Because again, it does not have the gaming working design gameplay changes. The gameplay of the remasters are the Japanese versions. Working designs made them unnecessarily harder in a number of ways. So the remaster is a mechanically, like gameplay wise, is more accurate. We have that benefit, and also the speed up. Yeah, it has a nice things going for it. Yeah, when you start fights in the remaster, it's just right in and out. And then there's loading on these older ones, these CD consoles. Things like the softlock at the start, you die. Yeah, that was a... I was about to read that off. Oh, after this cutscene, I can read these some of these changes from the cutting room floor. Choosing the right version. I appreciate that. I wish I was able to help you with more recent games, but... At least with Dragon Quest 3, we still have to, like, around the time of 1 and 2. So it could still, like, be relevant there, but... Yeah, behind.
I think I'm gonna hurl.
I think I should redo some videos, too. But the very first video should be redone.
My name is Lucia. I have come from the Blue Star on an urgent mission. Your world is in grave danger. I must see Athena immediately. Take me to her.
Do you think she's friendly? She looks like she could be some sort of goddess or something. What are we gonna do, Hero? Ruby to Hero!
She's the most beautiful girl I've ever seen.
I like the remastered voice actors the most. I am a fan of what they did there. Some presentation things, though. I think this was...
Hero? What's wrong with you? She's not even human. Here, let me tuck your tongue back into your mouth and wipe that drool off your chin.
Hey, ouch! Knock it off!
Actually, maybe it'll be more of a remaster thing. I don't think Ruby goes off on him that much. Or did she? No, you know what it is? It's the for how long she's like, the voice acting goes on here.
Knock it off!
How long the voice goes on here? It doesn't go this long. It doesn't go that long in the remaster. It like properly cuts between the text boxes, but I like this approach here. Even if it is overlapping what someone else is saying. The smooth, I think that would be an example of like smoother like flow. OG's voice more. I could see that. It's not as, like... I mean, I still prefer the remaster, but it's a... I think it's a different story than Null, at the very least. Go to this battle here while... Let me talk about the iOS and Android version. I don't know what was talked about with it. I certainly didn't do enough research into being prepared to talk about it either. It's only Silver Star Story Touch, right? It's not a Eternal Blue. It doesn't have a iOS version. It's just Silver Star. So I'll read it here and why it gets brought up here. This is from the cutting room floor. It's a very, like, good summation of it. Let's see here. The iOS port is ported from source code of the Saturn version, but incorporates elements from the Windows, which is a Korean release, and PSP ports. Specifically, in addition to the original graphics, the port also provides the Windows version's upscale graphics. The script and voice acting are taken from the PSP version. While the PSP port is a different remake, it does use the same script, and cutscenes are the 32-bit versions. This script is based on the PS1 version released by Working Designs, but with many changes to bring it more in line with the original Japanese script. Actually, reading that back now, I think that's still commenting on the PSP version. It's saying the PSP version was more in line. Also, yeah, this version I'm talking about is $10 for iOS and Android. That's why it gets brought up. But yeah, the way I read that now, that doesn't necessarily mean the localization changes are only in the iOS version. Because it's still saying it's still literally saying the script and voice acting are taken from the PSP version. The script is based on the PS1 version released by Working Designs, but with many changes to bring it more to the original. So. I was reading more on the Silver Star Story Touch page. God, what a name. But yeah, cutting room floor would be a very good place and resource reading more about this stuff. And some things that I will be referencing in a eventual port review. Some more things, because we talked about Working Designs plenty. And let's see, for the, that's Eternal Blue, complete. Is this a CD? Yeah, this one's CD. So for the CD, Sega CD version, which was still Working Designs. And there's two known versions of the Japanese game. One's dated for November 12th, the other December 16th. Later revisions, mostly the same, but contains a few extra tweaks and bug fixes. And the US release seems to be based on that December revision. Okay, that's why it's brought up. You can, and if you wanted to identify that, it's identified by the copyright year in the main menu. It says 94, 95. Anyway, let's see. This is going on more about the revision. Am I in revision? I'm in revisional changes, not regional changes. Whoops. That's so cool to know, though. Are there regional differences mentioned on this page, actually? Regional differences. It was on a different page. Alright, so, let's see here. I bring this closer so I can see chat at the same time I'm reading, because I'm on 3 monitors. I'm reading this off another one, and I'm not seeing chat as much. So, here. Okay. For Working Designs, changes made.
Is this Althena's world?
These are not cherry-picked examples of the most striking alterations to the script. The changes are pervasive. Lunar Eternal Blues Japanese dialogue reads like a typical dialogue from a contemporary JRPG. A lot of aspects that don't fit this paradigm were rewritten by working designs. Despite this, the game's manual describes the localization as being fairly faithful to the original. Working designs kind of like to brag about that. You can notice. Despite the potty humor and pop culture references. I can't say there wouldn't be just puns, like that's extremely common with Japanese writing, but that's still not the same. And as we had that example earlier with the first game, it's very different. Has name spelling differences. If anything is too, like, sticks out. Yeah, there's dialogue examples, but none of them are the worst.
Oh no, it can't be.
Sweet princess of the blue sky.
How far in is this? Tower entrance. Just trying to pull up a solid example here.
Yes, sweet Lucia. It's been a long time, my dear. I am crushed that you haven't stayed in touch. But I'm very patient. I know that you will come.
There was a line in the Japanese, a translation of it would have been, "This is the Black Tower. The tower is governed by one of 4 heroes, the Great Black Wizard Borghen." Working Design's translation of those 2 lines. "This is the entrance to the Black Tower. It was constructed in honor of Grand Black Wizard Borghen. We hate it when he comes to Pensagulia to inspect his tower because we have to grease the doorframe to get him inside. The guy's a fat pig, no 2 ways about it." So, yeah, you get shit like that. I'm reading this line from the cutting room floor. "In most cases, the US dialogue ultimately arrives at the same point as the Japanese, parentheses with some exceptions, but with a handful of typical Working Designs jokes, with scatological humor, as a better way to put it, pop culture references." So those were examples. There are some plot point examples made here of what they changed. There's quite a bit here, and plot points being spoilers, I think it would be best to refer this off to, despite, what we're seeing here. This is still, like, the first, like, hour of the game. But otherwise, yeah, there are, minor differences. And I would recommend, if you want to read more on them, the cutting room floor is always a extremely good resource on that. The US script here makes Althena's guard out to be some sort of murderous zealot hellbent on enforcing devotion to Althena, whereas in the Japanese version, they're simply trying to kill Lucia on Leo's orders. Which is what we've been seeing here. They spice up, is a way to put it. They go to that boss battle. Get out of this, all this scene. And come into more gameplay, which there's a lot written here about gameplay. Which, let me cover the non-gameplay things first. This is where we're talking about with, in the Sega CD version from Japan to the US, most occurrences of pentagrams were removed. Let's see, pentagram. Anything else besides those examples? Nothing too substantial. Alright, so the gameplay changes. With what Working Designs changed about gameplay. There's more written here about what they did than what they did with Lunar 1. For Lunar 2, as with many other games, Working Designs went to some lengths to make Eternal Blue more difficult, parentheses, and more frustrating. And what may be Working Design's most infamous alteration to any of their games, the US release forces the player to pay a certain amount of magic XP, parentheses, heroes level times 15, to save the game, and prevents saving entirely if the player doesn't have enough. Quote from the manual, "We felt that this would make the game more challenging by making you, the player, decide if the necessity of a save was worth saving up valuable magic experience points." None of this was in the Japanese version, and this quote-unquote feature was left out of the localized version of the game's PlayStation remake, Eternal Blue Complete, with the official strategy guide acknowledging that it was much more annoying than challenging. So that's back to CD version, yeah. Let's see. Different control scheme. See, so we have changes like that, but then we have, when casting spells during combat, the US version automatically selects the most recently used spell. I love that. That's how I prefer to always play the games. It was with memory commands. So, you know, you take the good with the bad. Let's see. Both versions have the push the party along walls to bump into mechanic. Oh, yeah. But it works slightly different between them. In the Japanese version, running into a second wall while already being pushed along makes the party get stuck, twitching back and forth between two squares until the player changes direction. The US version tweaks it so that the party will instead reverse direction and keep moving smoothly. Yeah, so like fix things. They're hard by comparison, but we're getting to that. We'll get to why that's. There's a lot on this page. Japanese version, player doesn't. Oh, I died. I probably died again. I eventually paused this recording just to actually go back to fights where Lucia nukes enemies for you just to get free XP. Read more, let's see. A few spells have increased MP costs in the US version. There's a number of them. Tranquil Litany, run for highest level. Party heal spell costs 17 MP in the Japanese version and 45 in the US version. Probably altered because the original cost is actually significantly cheaper than its lower level predecessor, Rest Litany. So at least there's reasoning there. This change makes it much more difficult to heal the party while maintaining Ronfar's MP during the last part of the game. Japanese version, the 5 spells granted by the Dragon and the Goddess Crests have the following MP costs. So some of these are, I could just read the MP values as 45, 80 MP, 75 MP, 98 MP, 93 MP. So all those MP amounts for these 5 spells granted from Dragon and Goddess Crests cost, all of them in the US version are 99 MP. Several items' base prices are higher in the US version, often considerably so. Some items have been marked up 200 to 300%. This affects both the buy and sell prices. Sell price is always half the base price. Right. Particularly the most common healing items are much pricier, especially the Silverlight, as well as a few higher tier weapons and armors. Some of the Althena statues used to heal requiring a donation for each use. In a Japanese version, the donation is always 100 silver, with the one exception. The US version inflates that cost by varying amounts in each area, which some of these examples offer from 100 to 500 to 1,000 to 1,500 silver money to save in those places, or to heal in those places. Enemy stats. As part of their scheme for the US versions, Working Designs saw fit to jack up the stats of nearly every enemy in the game. As a result, it's far more tedious grind than the original. Vast majority of enemies received a 25% boost to HP, attack, and defense. A smaller number got larger or smaller changes, such as the occasional 800% defense boost, or only had 1 or 2 of those stats changed. At the whim of the localization team, a very few had other stats altered. No enemies received changes to their MP or range. So the thing about this, right, is this working design, it was Working Design's literal philosophy to make it more challenging. That was their goal. That was the intended purpose. They did it feeling the originals weren't challenging enough. And I have seen people, again, I'll bring it up, I have seen people who've been playing the remaster, which is based on the gameplay of the Japanese versions, start to understand that. But I mean, there probably could have been a balance. There could have been a better balance somewhere in there. So on this cutting room floor page, there's a ton, like all the examples of stat changes by numbers, all are out throughout here. I'm just reading more ahead of anything else worth mentioning, because there's just a bunch of like asterisk notes below that. Let's see, the US version is moving on to audio now, we're done with gameplay changes. The US version replaced the 2 Japanese vocal themes with newly recorded versions featuring English lyrics. As with most, if not all, Working Design's dubbed themes, the localizers had no access to the Japanese backing tracks and had to recreate the music from scratch. I don't know if that was noticeable, resulting in a very different sound from the originals. Star Dragon Tower has the same music as the Blue Spire in the Japanese version. The US version replaces it with an original track commissioned by Working Designs from American composer Bill King. According to the manual, that was because they believed the new music, quote-unquote, provided a better fit to the mood of the game at that point. Is that still playing? Okay. There it is. Let me rewind the other one back this far. Oh, Saturn was done for a while. Whoops. My mistake here. Okay, so back to this page. We're nearly at the end of this page, and then we can move on to we can move on to the remasters. The outtakes reel, the epilogue's credits are added for the localization. Japanese version shipped with a premium audio CD containing the song Eternal Blue, Eternal Sentiment, aka Lucia's theme in the US version, along with extra chatter from Lucia and Lamina. This was dropped in the US release. Instead, the English remake of the song is included as an audio track on the game disc as a bonus. But we still know, like, they did great packaging outside of that for both of these games, as Working Designs usually did. Japanese disc contains 2 extra CD audio tracks not in the American version, and both of those tracks are on this website too. Oh, it's because it's a warning for the Mega CD itself, and then the Game Art Sound logo. That's what the differences are there. Miscellaneous changes, which is where we'll get into before. For telling the party about Lucia, the mayor of Larpa demands an information fee. In the Japanese version, the cost is 30 silver, but in the US version, it's raised to 500 silver. So there was what was mentioned earlier was there is a softlock. I thought the softlock was mentioned on this page, but it's not. And one of the Working Designs changes was softlock during let me bring up both of these here. It was during this here we go, boss fight here. There's a state where this boss battle would softlock. What was the reasoning? I really wish it was on that page. Where did I read that from? What would happen is if the boss wasn't able to reach Lucia to hit her, because you need all 3 party members to be wiped out for it to get the game over. But if you prevent the boss from physically getting to Lucia, can't do anything. So what Working Designs did was count in Ruby doing an attack. If that case happens, like if that situation happens, Ruby will come in to an attack and finish the boss. Yeah, and she'll have dialogue for it saying she didn't know how she did that. Like, it's straight up like a in-canon explained workaround this softlock. So it's always back and forth with Working Designs. Some really cool decisions, some frustrating ones, in more ways than one. But yeah, and again, the remasters, I'm pretty sure have to uphold some of these quality of life changes they made in the first place. And from there, that's so mean to Atlas USA. I mean, Atlas USA doesn't localize those games. The team that localizes like Persona games are the same team that localize the Yakuza games. Or rather, the Persona team localizes the Yakuza games. It would go the other way around. They were all hired around the time of... Most of them were hired around the... Where it started was around Persona 4. Let's see. Exceed? No. Yeah, no. Let's see. Okay, so Classic over here, Remaster over here. Let me, I closed out my footage. I closed out my folders. I don't know if that was a good idea. We'll have to find out. Classic over here. Classic text over here. Remaster over here. Remaster here. And bring up my bookmarks. Same case with changes with the... Oh yeah, I didn't mention the remaster's dual audio. I think I didn't need to say that because I was very clearly implying it. But yeah, the remasters are a dual audio. Yeah, because I was literally talking about the captions and everything. So anyway, yeah, we still lose that cool intro. Yeah, this is where, Well, it's fallen dramatically lately. This is, I'm talking like 2009. I'm talking back on PS2. This is where this team comes from. We wouldn't talk about it lately. Not when Yakuza 0 has been one of the most influential localizations of the last decade. It's more of disagreeing with the directions they take. That's a better way to put it. Or just saying the direction sucks. That would also be there. Anyway. So yeah, this is revoiced, but if you play Classic, you still get the new voices and everything. Let's do new scenes.
Harry.
Oh, right, and my footage on the left has the English dub. Right, so.
Always get carried away like this!
I know, Ruby.
Speaking
Just
of...
leave it to me.
Speaking of fucking Persona.
Yeah! There! I got it!
Yay! What's that rumbling?
Oh no! The exit's closing! Hurry!
It theoretically, what the cropping is the integer scale.
Oh, Hero, don't die on me. You just can't die.
I'm okay, Ruby. It's just a few bruises.
Because I do have it cropped in. This is
Okay, that's it. No more
saying this is it at 16:9. It doesn't fill the top and bottom at all.
Shh, Ruby, listen.
The same way the PS1 version doesn't either. I have it cropped so that it could.
Ah! Come on, Ruby. Let's get out of here. Well, looks like you've caught us in another messy situation. Oh, by the way, if you haven't figured it out, my name is Hero, and the flying cat is named Ruby. She says she's actually a baby red dragon.
Yeah, I really wish it was just I wish they didn't change or try to filter the backgrounds.
My grandfather Gwyn is an archaeologist who taught us how to explore ancient ruins like this. Well, not
Like what's on the
exactly
left
like
would
this.
still look fine,
Grandpa'd have a coronary
zoomed
if he
in
saw
or
me in this
stretched
kind of
or
danger.
zoomed in,
But
or
you
even
get the
just
idea. I think it's
fully
so cool
available,
that these
fully
dungeons
visible.
and ruins that time forgot can be found and explored by someone like me. The world I live in today is the result of things that happened long ago. Someday, I'll gather enough information from ruins like these to prove that.
See, we get nothing.
Bust a move. I think we lost him. Hero, you dummy!
They have no like anime cutscene to go off of, so the script gets to be more in sync between English and Japanese. Because as we were talking about, the Japanese subs for if you play with the Japanese audio is different than the English dub subtitles. You won't have to listen to you won't have to read the English dub subtitles if you play with Japanese voices. But yeah, that's for voice scenes. That's only for like the pre-rendered stuff or some dialogue. Be toggles. For nostalgia's sake, as somebody new to it, why'd it freeze? Oh, I must have like clicked out of the game or something back when I was recording it. As someone new to it, I'm not as. I prefer how it looks and sounds now. Granted, I don't. Yeah, like I was saying though, I don't like this filter or whatever they're doing with the backgrounds here. The FMVs, I think, look great, and I do prefer the new voice acting. Let's see. Yeah, we covered a lot of things already with talking about the first game. There's a number of things apply to both games. And again, here you see that fucking tilt shift, the blur of the background and the blur of the foreground are forced. You can't turn that off because those blurs are baked into the new backgrounds. That's so annoying. Also, the font is smoothed over in the remaster too. I hate that. I don't like how they smooth the font out either. I wish it was just pixel sharp like on the left. So those, yeah, there should have been toggles for those things. I think that would have been a better idea. Kind of like a Chrono Cross does, although the font choice for Chrono Cross isn't that great. So like neither option is the best. Yeah, I want the 16:9, but I want it with the original, with the classic version's backgrounds. And then I also want the FMVs of the remaster. Remaster. Never pleased anyone. That's exactly why they should include the old versions. Because it really is, if they would have, it would be a lot less like upsetting some of the directions they could take. Because we can actually say they'll never replace the originals will live on. If they could sell us the originals. They live on their original consoles. But this would constitute enough of PS1, I think. Well, I guess despite how you feel, how people feel about backgrounds. the music quality hasn't been sticking out to me as an issue.
Dodge this!
Like, this isn't hitting me the same way Persona on PSP did. Man, that looks nice. And then I was wondering, so the audio in the remasters is clear for re-rendered.
Dodge this!
I would need to, like, in editing software, properly compare this to like, properly judge what's different. Because I feel like there is, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
Uh-oh, now what did we do?
I don't feel like it's the EQ, I feel like it's just... Well, I mean, you could call it EQ. When you have, with audio compression, one of the ways of compressing down in file size, or rather, compressing down bitrate, is by bringing in some of the lower end and higher end frequencies and kind of crushing them. So that can result in them being more treble or having more plosives stick out, and then could fill in a amount of bass that's not intended. So then when you get the versions of it that have the proper range, it might not be as punchy. Or rather not punchy, I guess, because we're taking different interpretations of that word. There's more room for the bass to be different frequencies. But yeah, I was gonna pull up any other things people felt about it. This is there was a. It's pinned on the subreddit for Lunar as a post about the Silver Star story differences from the CD version, Sega CD version. It was about the audio. Oh, I'm going the opposite way. Here, let's hear that in English.
Oi, そこの前。そうだ、お前だ。
No way. Hero, look over there!
We'll listen to this while I sort through this. So audio is English dub, but it is coming from the left source.
It's amazing. I wonder what kind of ship is able to move around without wind or sails like that.
Hey, you!
Huh?
Yes, you over there.
Who does this Joker think he is?
What are you doing in this
Yeah, I'm
area?
pretty sure they put more compression on the
This is
classic.
Ruby. Identify yourself.
I think
I am
easier
White
to hear
Knight
on these
Leo,
FMVs.
leader of Althena's Guard, and this is the dragon ship Destiny. Now then, listen up! You kids need to evacuate these premises. I don't want to see any civilians accidentally caught in the middle of this thing. Return home immediately. Move it!
Let's see. There is issues with the remaster. There is a scaling issue. I think I can show that quickly. I even think you can see it here. I'm pretty sure this font you're seeing should be sharper than what it is because it has inconsistent outline thickness. I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to be like that. I don't have a 4K display native though, so I can't illustrate that right away. I would have to plug one in. Yeah, no remaster soundtrack, and the rendition of the PS1 tracks keeps its compression. Yeah. We talked about that gradient, which is the white gradient at the top, which is still there. Never mind. Okay. Fuck me, I guess. That CRT shader too. Yeah, I didn't even show it here because I think we got a good look at it in the first game. I'm not too big on it unless it's the third preset. I think that one looks fine, but I probably wouldn't play with either. What I don't understand about like how they smoothed out things in the remaster side is they let the pixels for sprites stay sharp. But then everything else had to get filtered. And they're not supposed to or intended to be like that. They're all intended to be more pixels. So it is these characters that are sprites surrounded by text that is smoothed out and has that filter on it. It's frustrating, man. Ultimately, for that, yeah, I would still be playing the classic. Unless there's a mod for more of the classic version's assets swapped into the remaster version, I would probably just be playing classic. Which is to say, yeah, I would probably want mods for this version. Which I think may be another incentive to wait for sales. Yeah, I wanted to look at the voice we just heard. I closed my folders, but I gotta pull this up quick. This will be the last thing, and then I'm gonna pull up the game and show what I mean by the resolution stuff. Anyway, so let me pause these both here. I'm gonna put PS1 over here. I'm gonna put Classic over here, since that's what I have in English. Pull this up here. Almost 4 hours. Jesus Christ, man. I might as well have just played the damn games. But I came into this more research, so. My layout for the stream was boring as hell, but I spent more times like playing the games and researching them than preparing for the stream itself. There we go. Good night, Paper Luigi. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. I was still a bit... There's a number of them that I'm a big fan of. I think... I was fine with Saga Frontier 1 and also Legend of Mana. I didn't have as many qualms with those. There are issues of them I spoke about, like, in the port reviews, because, you know, they're changes, usually, so they're going to be mentioned. None of them personally weighed on me as much as they weighed on others. So, and I couldn't tell you examples of that right off the bat. Legend of Mana is the inconsistent with smooth assets, pixel assets, though. I could see that. Though it was I mean, for Legend of Mana, it looks really damn good, though. For the backgrounds outside of the context of pixels being surrounding them. That's why I like them. They don't look as much like smoothed out as they do like redrawn. That's how I feel. Anyway, we're here for the voice acting right here, so. Just a reminder on how it sounded before.
Wow, Hero! Get a load of that! It's incredible! But what the heck is it? It looks like a ship, but it moves without wind or sails.
Oh god, is this the right one? Yes, it was.
Hey, you! Yes! You over there! What are you doing in this area?
Who does this Joker think he is?
My name is Hero, and this is Ruby. Identify yourself!
Certainly. I am White Knight Leo, leader of Althena's Guard. And this is the dragon ship Destiny. Now then, listen up. You kids need to evacuate this area. I don't want to see any civilians accidentally caught in the middle of this thing. Return to your home immediately. Move it!
Wow! Get a load of that, Hero! It's amazing. I wonder what kind of ship is able to move around without wind or sails like that.
Might as well put this back in sync.
Hey, you!
Huh?
Yes, you over there.
Who does this Joker think he is?
So this is remaster
What
audio
are you
you're
doing
hearing
in
now.
this area?
My name is Hero, and this is Ruby. Identify yourself.
I am White Knight Leo, leader of Althena's Guard, and this is the dragon ship Destiny. Now then, listen up! You kids need to evacuate these premises. I don't want to see any civilians accidentally caught in the middle of this thing. Return home immediately. Move it!
Yeah, the post effects is the like tilt shift attempt. I would just turn that off, yeah. Except you can't like, you know, it's baked into the battle background, so you can't do anything about that. I would still just have it off in general. Let's see. Now let's see if we can take a look into the resolution thing real quick about the scaling issue here. Metaphor actually had this issue. If you played Metaphor on PC at rendering it at 1080p, all the text you were seeing was improperly scaled down from 4K. If you play Metaphor at 4K, the text is as sharp as it was intended to look. It doesn't scale down well to 1080p, which is what I believe people are referencing when they talk about the scaling in the Remaster collection. I'm gonna start it up. It might be loud. It won't be as loud as the PSP version, but turn it up here and let's see. Guess it doesn't matter which one we're hopping into, because the font's used in both of them as well. Okay. I have an ultra-wide monitor, so every game I open that's 16:9 opens like this. And I gotta crop it. Now do 40. Okay. It would be easier to also show this in window. Okay, annoyingly so with the crop I have to do. There. Actually, I mean, the text is right there, so we would be able to see it here. And let me make sure that OBS has the proper scaling, too, to show this off. Actually, yeah, that should be good. So then the issue would be if we're going down to 720p or maybe 800p for the Steam Deck, we're getting blurrier and blurrier as we go, and not just blurrier, but the way the text is outlined and reads is getting, the outline of it is getting more and more inconsistent. Yeah, my monitor doesn't go to 4K, so it doesn't even let me do that. I want to make the point clear, so let me just swap this in. I got a 4K display I can hook it up to. Just it goes through the capture card, and it's a hit or miss if it will actually work on the first try. Yeah, that figures. Damn it. Wish I could lie to it that it's 4K. The highest I could show myself is 1080p. The Reddit thread I was reading about this, though, does have the examples. I will... for this, I'll link it and then show the image examples as to where I'm pulling the images from. Let's see. Where's they do not have the 4K examples here. They only go with the 1440p themselves. Is that enough? Well, I guess 1440p is good enough. The 1440p certainly gets the point across better than what I'm able to show. So, linking the thread here of issues. Super resolution. Oh, I don't have that set up right now. Also, super resolution doesn't play nice with ultra wide. Not right off the bat. It's possible, but it's not a fun setup. Why does this have such an absurdly long URL? Could I just share this part of it? Yeah, okay. There's a link. So what I'm about to, the screenshots I'm about to throw on screen here on stream. I might as well hide the game capture and close it. So, and we get to like scale them properly against each other here. That one's 1080p. That's 1440p. Here's hoping you have a monitor able to see this better. Trying to find a good example. I don't think this is enough to really show it either. Well, look at the right side of the W. This is what I mean by like the line thickness gets more inconsistent as it scales down. So you're dealing with that on the font. That depending on what kind of like type font freak you are, if you look at fonts close enough, you may be looking at the F at the bottom of the screen for save changes. You might consider those two different fonts, depending on who you ask, because it's changing so much of the weight. That's a clear example there. But yeah, this isn't an optimal example because I can't show 4K. If I could go 4K to 720p and have the images properly lined up per pixel, that would get the point across. Otherwise, I can't effectively show that or illustrate that. That issue just more comes into play if you play on Steam Deck. If it clearly right there did not like stick out as an issue, then you might be fine with it on Steam Deck. Same thing with on Switch too, since Switch would be 720p. Anyway, I think we covered about everything. For the gameplay changes, I would still, personally myself, I'm gonna lean into the Remaster collection, but play on the classic style. Maybe there will be mods, I hope so. If it is compatible with the Steam Deck, Grandia remasters weren't. I think those came out well before the Steam Deck though. I'm pretty sure what I was reading was that it was compatible. So, let's see here. If I do another stream soon, is there anything coming out? I don't think there is. I've been like consistently bored enough these days, and Rita's condition has gotten much more stable, or rather like predictable. Yeah, stable's still accurate. Yeah. I think I should go ahead and start like easing back into work, and if I do that, it's Dragon Quest III HD 2D. We'll do a Dragon Quest III port review. For one of these streams, I can't think of anything coming out too soon. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of games. I got way too many JRPGs to catch up on. When you hit 30, you get bored. Yeah. Oh, right, Oblivion. I'll stream Oblivion. I don't know if I'll do as much of a one-to-one comparison. I kind of just want to hop into that. Rido in 2 months. Yeah, absolutely. That'll be one. Let's see. So, I will be back in time with those things. Just don't be surprised if you see more streams in the meantime. But the port reviews live on. More ideas for obscure ports, and I am looking out for modding projects I would like to get more see more coverage of. That's a plan for now, though. I feel like I had something else. I'm working on some incentive small videos for Patreon, but I have nothing to show for that yet. More behind-the-scenes full videos, and even like some cut information that's not at all relevant to a port review itself. I'm thinking of doing very short video examples of some things to put a video incentive for patrons, and on YouTube as well. If you do membership on YouTube, you'll get the same thing. Small things like that. It'll be small, but it'll still be like a content example. That's not like a huge deal. That's what I'm workshopping that though. I'll see if I actually go through with that or not. But yeah, I will be back. I want to thank everyone for the constant support and everyone who's stuck around for however long I've been hiatusing and getting through burnout. Thank everyone for sticking around for so long. And we'll see where we can go from here. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you for watching.